All right, we're unmuted and recording and streaming.
Let me just wait for Doug to get settled and then.
You guys go ahead.
All right. See you later, alligator.
All right, it's 2:06. Let's go ahead and call this workshop to order. Is this my agenda? Oh, right. It's Chelsea. Do you want to present it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing let's go over the financing first before your financing analysis. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past couple meetings is the expenses versus the revenues for the Sherman Soccer Complex, all of our parks and rec facilities. So Laura did this beautiful analysis, which I will let her explain.
Okay.
You like
So I used Facilitron for everything that we had, like the blue numbers up here. You can see the first Facilitron rental wasn't until May of 2023. So the numbers for fiscal 23, the first part were actually taken from the financials. There's a little more up here, just sums it, but. So I looked at each year, what did we bring in for fun park rental? What did we bring in for rental at the Commons Pool? And what did we bring in for rental at the soccer complex? I did not include any of the stuff here because we were just looking at Parks and Rec. So people do pay to rent out the space and rent the boardroom, but I did not include that. Then what I put down here is this, anything green is Parks and Rec, anything blue is pool. I took the income less the sales tax because we do have to pay that. So we get paid the full amount and then we have to deduct the sales tax that gets paid to the state. I looked at what came from the P&L for total Parks and Rec expenses. And then whatever our net income loss was from our expenses minus I can blow this up a little bit, minus our income. So we're operating at about 13% of income to expenses in fiscal 21. And in fiscal 22, it went up to about 19%, and then it went down to 16%. Then last year we did really good. We were 29%. And then this is only through not quite the end of the month. There's a few days left. I didn't have a chance to update it because we had to publish the agenda, but I don't expect it to change. So we're at about 23%. So we're bringing in enough income from rentals to cover 23% of the cost of running Parks and Rec. The pool obviously is much less, basically zero. We don't do a lot of rental at the pool. I know Carrie's working on some programs for this next fiscal year to help bring in some more money for that. But we didn't do rentals for anything at all at the pool until we got Facilitron in May of 2023. So that's why there was no income at all for the pool up until that point. So you can see we're at a 0.5% of income to expense for this last year.
Do you know what attributed to the 22-23 reduction in usage?
I think it was it's more of the additional expenses that we had. So we had $200,000, $220,000 more of additional expenses than we did the year prior.
Ian?
Okay, yeah, could have been as well. So where's see the expense? Okay, and the income taxes. So that's our revenue stream.
Correct.
Right?
That's our net.
So we know, I'm sure you don't have it right here, but there should be a calculation of percentage to use, like what's the total amount of hours that the fields could be used, and what percentage are we using those? Now, it's going to be tough because if you say we can start renting at 8 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Right now, we don't have an audience for that, but you still have to include that.
Absolutely.
So it would be probably two numbers. One is total number of available hours, and then a total number of, let's call them prime hours or optimal, whatever.
Peak hours.
Peak hours, yeah. So that would be anything from 5 or maybe 3 o'clock to, what do we stop now, around 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And weekends too, I'd say Saturdays.
Yeah, Saturdays and Sundays would still be considered under peak.
So
or
number of
prime.
hours available versus
Total
used.
available, yeah. And what's our percentage of allocation?
Okay. Yeah, we can work on that.
Okay.
So part of bringing this in front of you was we started having the conversations about the cost to maintain these facilities. And then we are on our last, 3 years ago, we did this analysis. We said, where do we need to be? We want to reduce, 25, 75, whatever we're subsidizing for at least the soccer fields. So we are on the last year of that increase. Carrie and PrAC are starting to evaluate our rates versus those around us, understanding that most of our competitors are county government, and county is subsidized by a much larger number of residents than, we have here. So we're working on comps on that, but part of that was to just paint a picture of where we're at today. And then we can have the conversation about the projects that we have in design or, future planning of our Parks and Rec program.
And there's something to consider here too. If you're comparing the park to the fields to the pool, I'd say almost 98% of pool usage is directly from Gateway residents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless they're accompanied by a
Unless
Gateway
they're
resident.
a guest, because we're really not,
We don't push.
we're not selling or opening it up. It's available, but it's not something that we see or really even anything we
So
put.
1705 is all we generated in that 12-month period?
For
A
the
little bit
pool?
less than 12 months?
No, that's for just this fiscal year, so it was like 2,700 total. There's
One
$300.
at the bottom says
Yeah.
income 1705.
That's this fiscal year.
That's all we generated with guests and
Rentals.
out rentals?
At
That's
the,
it?
at the pool, yes.
At the pool?
Yep.
So we can say that if we're trying to compare apples to apples, about 315,000 is what we absorb. That's probably directly related to resident use. And the only reason I bring that up is because we look at the soccer complex. I think our resident utilization is probably anywhere from between 40 and 50%?
That'd be a safe guess, yeah.
Yeah, between 40 and 50%. So of that total amount, the participants and utilization of the fields, when it comes to league use and those types of programs, it's utilized by about 40 to 50% of our residents. Now,
We can't, I don't even want to put a number at that because we don't track that.
but we have in the past.
But 2+ years ago, we requested that. Now, that information was only as good as the person submitting it. We didn't go out and say.
There's a variance, but I
Yeah.
would say it's probably between 40 and 50%. That's the way it's been,
Okay.
as it's been measured for probably 10 years prior, and
Okay.
that number barely moved. Now, unless we've had an influx over the last 2 years of residents, I still think it's about 40, 50%. It used to be closer to 50, and it has dropped a couple percentages over the past, a couple years that we were tracking. The only reason I'm saying that is with amenities, you either say our amenities, all amenities, need to be need to also have a revenue generating aspect, and that is offset by that the resident should not be responsible for that. That doesn't occur in most communities. Amenities are a part of what you offer. So,
Yep.
so I just want to make sure when we're looking at the field usage that we almost kind of split it into what is, or maybe we need to come up with an amount that's reasonable for us to be absorbed by our residents, and then offset
By
the other side.
the revenues.
Yeah.
What's the 26 on Parks and Rec projection? Obviously, income is what we're talking about, but what's the expenses projected for 26, where we got 737, that number's gone up, and we know it's going to go up even more. What's the number for 2026?
Or can pull that up with the budget real quick. Now, one of the things.
That's going to make that number
I'd like to see a
even
cost
worse.
of that, a breakdown of 737 as well.
Okay, yeah, we have that
I'm
as
sure,
part of the
yeah.
September
It's in
financials.
the financials.
Yeah.
I just took a total.
Ed, to your point, some of the things that we're starting to evaluate now is how do we get that number down, right? How do we reduce our costs? Are there ways that we can take things in-house that are going to save us in the long run? If it's mowing the fields, we might have a small cost,
But when
upfront
you do those
cost.
expenses, I'm assuming that also includes debt payment for capital.
No, this is just our O&M. I didn't even,
It's operating only?
that's operating only. We didn't even take
Because
into account the
I'm
debt.
looking at the page before with all these expenses, you're going to have even more P and I, so this number's going to soar. So somehow, some way, that,
Well, the-
that 22.6 has got to climb fast, big time.
Well, not only does that need to go up, our expenses need to go down. So it needs to be both sides.
My point was,
But you're
what's,
kind of tied in with like on operations, like how are you going to make it?
That's
to
what I'm
cost
saying. What are you
without? I
gonna
don't think
do to
you
do it?
can.
One of the things that we're contemplating is taking the mowing of the fields in-house. We pay at least right off the cuff, $50,000 a year for an autonomous mower contract. You know, can we accomplish that with our existing staff? And procuring a piece, we have a tractor, can we procure, this is all Angelo's idea, he's running with it, but we're looking at the cost of, can we get a mower and do it in-house with,
Less than 50,000.
exactly, on year one. I mean, year two, you're going to continue to save year over year because you're not going to have that $50,000 expense. You might have repair and maintenance on the equipment, but those are things that we're looking at. We're not ready to present yet, but these are ways that we're looking at how can we save dollars.
what's 26 without that assumption? What is it that's on the books that we're going to be paying for Parks and Rec?
There's, including capital projects, not bond, because that's separate, but the capital projects, it's 1.369 million. 265,000 of that is capital reserves and capital projects.
That P and I, or is that
That's
cash?
P&I.
P and I, so it's debt.
No, no, sorry, that's not debt, that's operating expenses. That's compared to this, where the 737 is
Okay, 737 is 1.3
69.
apples to apples.
Yes.
Holy
This doesn't
crap.
include capital.
No, but I said 265,000 of
So you're at
that is.
1.1.
Yes, you
One-
gotta take that out, so it's 1.1.
That's not a lot better.
So 737 is going to 1.1 and we're going to control it and have anything to do with $50,000?
That's,
That's the tail wagging the dog.
That is
It ain't
just,
going to do nothing.
that was one example.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's only two things we do. We can increase revenue or we decrease operating expense. That's the only way. Yeah, I mean, that's the only two levers we can pull.
I think the percentage of decreasing expenses are very small to none.
Yeah. that's
Because
what
by the
I-
time, I mean, we're going to be looking at like, what, $30,000 instead of 50? You're not even, because you're not going to eliminate a whole 50. So if you do half, $25,000, it's nothing
Well,
compared to the numbers that we're looking
It's
at.
just, but you're saying it's an option. You're looking at all the different,
Yes.
So if you're at 1.1, say, and you even, notwithstanding what Carol and Bob had said before of making it 100%, if you made it 50%, you got to come up with $550,000 from outside sources. 550. I'll tell you what, when you find it, look right next to it, and that's where the needle in the haystack's at. It ain't going to happen. Nobody's going to pay that kind of money.
Part of this,
it happens all the time.
part of this too is we shut down for 3.5, 4 months in the summer, which is lost revenue. So again, having the right staff in place, having the right maintenance contracts in place, you know, being able to reduce our, you know, shutdown could potentially open up for summer rentals that we aren't getting right now.
We have never really optimizing revenue streams for the fields. And there's been good reason behind it. It's because we've had leagues in place that have historically, we've had marginal increases because the value that the leagues and the fields bring our community is pretty significant when you look at it. If you have a family or you participate in those things. Because I'll tell you, fields in Lee County, completely different than Collier. Collier's popping up fields and they invest in their parks and rec, probably one of the best in the state. Lee County historically does not do that. The county does not reinvest or in new fields or do much to
We're
existing.
buying gateway fields.
Right. But my point is there is a premium on field space. And we are now at a position where we have to look at different opportunities, whether it's out for bid or different things in order for us to be able to continue to maintain, because the fields are at their shelf life. They've been past their shelf life when it comes to turf. I mean, and Ed knows all about turf life. So I think we just need to get creative and truly see what is the amount that we want to try to control? I don't think it's 100%, but let's just say it's 50.
Of the 7,500 homes that comprise Gateway, how many homes of that 7,500 participate in the park and recs?
Well, it'd be 40%.
Oh, 40%
40 to
of the residents?
No,
I don't believe so.
40 to 50% of the participants are Gateway
No,
residents.
no, different question entirely. Of the number of homes that support those fields.
We don't know.
Bob,
Okay.
Bob, the easy way to do that.
I would
is
like
just
to know
take-
that because
Just take the number of folks in Pelican, take 15% of it, and add to it 100% of the gateways, and divide it, and you got the number.
no, but I'm looking for the number of families that use it. I'm saying to myself, I'm sitting here and we're looking at 1,000,003,
Well, you can't,
million what? This is the way I look at it. Is it worth it? I'm willing to just close them up.
okay.
Is it worth the
But you have to
million
take that
bucks?
same calculation to everything that we have.
I'm
And
okay with
means-
doing that
means
too.
Literally, let's close everything down.
I'm
Go ahead and look at that
okay.
from a Pelican perspective.
I'm
You get
okay with that too. I'm not looking at it from a Pelican perspective. I'm looking at it as a gateway paying taxpayer. And we are sitting here saying that this is worth $1 million something, just the parks, $1,000,003. $147 a home. If we had 100% participation by every door in Greater Gateway, and we don't. I don't think we have it anywhere. I'd be surprised if it's more than 15%. And I'm wondering, is this something we really should continue?
Is this Parks and Rec inclusive of all Parks
You're
and
missing-
Rec, or is
there's
just
a value
soccer?
proposition to that as well.
Oh, well, then
I mean,
we
that's
got to
what
get
any
that
amenities with-
separated.
I hear you, Doug.
It's
I
not
hear you.
just- It's not just
This
directly
is-
used.
So
you
it's-
gotta
it's
calculate
fun.
value in as well.
We need Parks and Rec,
I agree.
what I consider Parks and Rec, separated out. We just sat here and spent almost $2.5 million. I do not want to throw down the rat hole, the Parks and Rec. But I want to be able to analyze Parks and Rec in the two components, Parks and Rec and soccer,
Correct.
We
and
don't,
see what those are, because
Because
if Parks and Rec is inclusive in this, in the 1.1 million number, we're not looking at the right thing. We're going to go, we're not going to get any vendor out there to pay 50% of costs of things
whole
he has.
entire thing.
That's ridiculous. So if that 737 really is 400 for soccer, what is it for next year? Is it 500, 600? It's certainly not 1.1 million.
so we don't track it.
And I think that's what we focused on previous year, because we didn't really focus on park and recs overall, because we didn't have a lot of things to offer besides the dog park,
Fun
the
park,
pool.
soccer complex.
Exactly. So we really focused on how could we bring up the income for the soccer fields, subsidize, the expenses. And I mean, I thought we would be at a different point right now, because we started talking about this 7 years ago. And there is, and I don't think I totally agree with Doug. I think they do bring a benefit, but the reason why we didn't increase, and I remember Ed was really vocal about this, the reason why we didn't really increase to a 50% then and there is because the soccer field, because the leagues were thinking they're either going to abandon and not do anything here. And they ask us for like, let's do this in an incremental to allow the families to budget this properly and allows the leagues to properly adjust every year. So we work in a partnership with them, but they were well aware that within the 5 years, I think it was our goal to bring it to almost a 75%, paid off by outside instead of the residents.
So
So what-
if we said it, trying to take yours a step further, if we said that, isolate the fields, come up whatever the cost is, and then say we've got to have 75%, do you want it or don't you?
And do you remember this conversation? Yeah, so that's the and that's prior to you. It's hot in here, by the way.
I just don't want to get into a discussion about Parks and Rec, non-exclusive of soccer. We made a commitment to spend that 2 million. That's ridiculous. That's water over the dam.
And I think we should do both. I mean,
Well,
we
we
should
don't-
talk about
we can
Parks
do
and
more
Rec.
water
We
rec.
can
We
talk
can
about
do
Parks
both, but-
Parks and Rec, but you've got to split out the pieces.
And do you hold it
I
at the
agree.
2 million or
And
you
then you go-
continue adding?
Then you go to the vendors.
That
on
was
the-
my question to you.
on the
You're going to
soccer.
hold it at the 2 million we've committed, or are we going to continue to build that burden?
Well, Bob, I think it's worse than that. It's not only the principal interest on the 2 million, it's the added O&M costs.
that's where
that
I'm
it's gonna
going.
Create. I'm
And if we
willing to look
expand-
at that set this over here aside right now. Let's get this soccer, because if it's 600,000 or 700,000, whatever the number is, somebody has got to get to this vendor and say, you got to come back in here, or some associates of yours or some other organization or conglomerate. You guys got to pick up $300,000,
Or
$400,000,
walk away.
$500,000.
Or
That's
walk
all there is
away.
to it. Or we shut it down.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So
But
one
we got to
of,
split these numbers.
one of the problems that we have, which we can pilfer through, is we don't track it by facility type. Really,
It's easy to do.
well, that's what I said. We can pilfer through it and we can get you just the soccer field numbers if that's what you want to talk about. I was under the impression we wanted to talk like 50,000 foot overview of Parks and Rec and then iron it down to the different facilities.
I think the biggest issue, it is the soccer fields.
It's a
Because
pretty
everything else
shocking
is-
number.
That's where all the cost,
Yeah.
that's the biggest burden of cost, and it has been for 20
And these
some
are
years.
shocking numbers. I mean, we've gone from 298,000, from 300,000 to 7, and now we're looking at 1.1. That'll grab you by the throat.
That's total. That's not just.
I understand.
Yeah.
So what are the components?
Yeah.
What are the constituents? In my heart of hearts, I believe the bulk of it's going to be soccer.
Yeah, we can bring that back at the next meeting.
Here's the thing too, really quick. Whatever the number is that's O&M today, any P&I that we have, and any capital projects that we foresee that we would need to do in order to maintain or keep the fields at a certain level so we can lease them at a prime. That's the number we need to back into. So if there's a number for the next 5 years, what the annual burden's going to be, that's a number we got to try to offset. And,
Is that one-
and how we do it can be creative. It could be leagues, it could bring in additional leagues, it could be trying to bring certain stuff in-house or optimize costs. There's a couple different ways to do this.
What the cost on the user is one way.
166, 662, does that have any revenue generated by non-soccer sources?
Rental, yes.
A tiny bit.
Like pavilion rentals.
Yeah.
I mean,
It,
what, $10,000?
no,
even.
not even,
So
no.
Maybe
the
600?
predominance of that 166 is soccer revenue,
Field use.
field
Field.
use.
Field.
So that would go over and stay with that side of the analysis.
Actually, for purposes of this particular thing, I included Fun Park, which was $66. There's no other, I didn't include any other rental of facilities.
Well, and the rates,
That's just soccer field.
to your point, Ed, the rates, that should carry forward, if anything, go up slightly because the rates just went into effect in June when we did the fee schedule update.
Let me ask you this, you would know. Concession, does the concession in other facilities bring revenue? Because, that's
It's
one,
about $2,000 a weekend.
so that's one thing that I always
That's-
thought.
That's
like,
not total gross, but that's
But,
on average.
like, we have a huge opportunity. You saw how this was last weekend. I mean, the last time I visited the concession stand, it was a storage unit. It was disgusting. And we always talked about, like, that is a true, because we can rent it, we can outsource it, rent it out, and have somebody, Joe and Bob will go over there and do something nice, because the people are already here. It's not like you have to bring in people to use the facility. They're already here, and guess what? They're hot and
Well, let
sweaty
the
and they're
vendors
hungry.
use it to generate revenue.
So there are, so
But
just,
then
Then we're out of the business.
but they will generate revenue for themselves
No,
and
no, no, no,
and
no, no.
cry a small
No, no.
percentage of
No, no, no.
growth to give it
We
to us.
see the books
Yeah,
this time.
exactly.
so here's just some basic numbers. I think
So I think concession
just in the
takes
two
one.
programs that I'm familiar with, flag and soccer, historically, and I think flag has gone up from averaging about 400 players to almost 5 to 6 over the last couple of years. I could be wrong. I haven't been there in a year. But soccer has historically been around 800. So what you get on Friday night and on a flag game, just on a Friday night, is about 1,500 people. Because there's 400 participants, and they normally have about
One or two parents, yeah.
parents. Oh God, so that's 1,500. On Saturday, you've got 800, again, 800 times 3, that's about 2,500. So anywhere between 2,500 and probably 3,000 people are here from 8 in the morning till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. When 7+ years ago, when the concession stand was fully utilized, it was open 6 days a week. So in the evenings when they had practice, the concession stand was open. Friday nights, you could get a cheesesteak, you get burgers, fries, and my nonprofit ran the concession stand for a couple events and stuff. And I know 2,000 might be a high end, but it's reasonable. So my whole point is there's a lot of usage and a lot of foot traffic that happens at the fields. The problem is in the past, all that equipment, everything was managed by the CSA, Christian Soccer Association, who bought all the equipment and they managed all the volunteering. With food trucks and stuff now, it's just easier to bring them out, but you don't get maybe 10%,
So-
if anything. And a lot of these programs just want them to come out and then they're not asking anything for that.
So
So
one-
there is some revenue there.
One of the, so we are working on, now that the utility storage building is up, we are transitioning, moving stuff around. That concession stand will be converted back to a concession stand. One of the things that we were approached by the Charter High School was they have a bunch of different clubs that they're looking to get involved in the community. And one of the things that we talked about was partnering with them to staff and manage the concession stand, and we get a cut of the profits. But they would manage it and run with it. So that was a first step. We can always put it out to bid. I know when I worked at the beach, we had a concessionaire at the pool, and that we had we put that out to bid and they paid us X amount of dollars per year, whatever that was. Or it was a percentage of the revenues, but again, you're trusting that whatever they're turning in is accurate, so.
All of those things are nice, and any dollar we get is a dollar we get. But the users have got to pay what it's costing, or a significant part of it.
Like
I mean,
all
that's
people,
the-
all people should pay. The percentage should be different between the basic for the 7,500 people that live in, plus the users should pay an additional. I don't think you should just say the users pay and then the residents that
No,
don't.
not all
you
that,
know,
but we
I just
know,
make
but
sure
we know that
all-
half of the people using it
Mhm.
aren't residents. We know that.
We don't.
So the only opportunity to get them to pay anything close to their fair share is by increasing the rates.
What we don't know is we don't know what the real value of our fields are right now.
But we know the
We
cost.
can try to compare them,
But we know the cost.
but I know like I said, I'll go back to field space is in very high demand. And I don't want to take anything away from our local programs. They've been doing a great job for years and years. But I know we had someone interested a couple years ago that was willing to play in excess of 100 plus, K a year. Sold rights of it. And at the time, a couple years ago, that was a good deal. Now I don't know. I don't have any idea. So I don't know if we really know what our true value lies and where we could utilize it, whether it's bringing programs in-house or if it's going to bid or if it's, bidding field space or look, we want to bid out the whole entire complex for X amount and whoever it is does whatever. It might only be flag or football or soccer or whatever else. I don't know. And I'm not saying I want to do that. I don't want to, remove any programs, but when it comes down to it, we just can't afford to keep spending what we're doing. And if we don't continue to spend, the fields are going to look so bad that
We won't be a
we
premier.
won't even be able to
Take care of themselves.
It
We'd
won't
have
be
more
a-
people complaining than it would be worth us even continuing.
So I don't want to, go ahead.
So I guess I would like to see staff bring forward a program and basically tell us, how can we make the soccer fields or that property over there across the street, how can we maximize it and make it so that it is paying for itself?
It will not pay for itself.
It's never going to
It
happen.
will never pay for itself. Let's just be clear on that.
But-
There's no way we're going to be able to generate $1.5 million revenue on those fields annually.
I think we stick with the 75%. How can it be 75%, the 7,500 residents will pay the 25% cost, and then the 75% cost will be generated by whoever using it?
And the
Because you're
problem with
saying
that
only
is,
75% of the
Because that's-
residents have
because-
the potential to use it?
no.
No, because it's something that we, the board
Income
had
generator.
agreed that that's what our goal was going to be, that 75% of total,
Who agreed?
this board had agreed.
When?
5 or 6 years
I'm
ago.
sorry.
No, even,
No, this
5 or
is,
6 years ago, I wasn't on this board, so don't say this board.
well, this always, this.
The board.
it's-
Board's
it's a
always been
board,
here.
yeah.
The
time.
board.
So that's what the direction that we were going. That's what the consensus there was, that we'll be happy and content to 75% of all expenses.
It was tiered though. We said 50, we would love to get to 75, but 50 was the goal.
Yeah, so Chelsea.
50
can
was the
research-
goal.
Yeah.
That's
50
what-
ought to be the minimum.
50 was the
And then
goal, and
75 should be the
75
goal.
was the stretch. Like, that's where we'd like to be. But again, at that point, we weren't talking about needing to have new lights, needing to re-turf and
but
all
that's
that
all
stuff.
part
So
of
the
it.
expenditure now is higher,
that's
so
all part of it.
75%, I still think that's not attainable.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why I want to separate capital and operating.
Yeah. We need total average operating costs for the next 5 years. What is that number? And then what are options, like literally 3 or 4 different options on how we can offset that cost? One might get us to 50% or 75, whatever, but there needs to be, because some might not even be desirable, then that would be leasing everything. Maybe, maybe not, but we need different options, bringing programs in-house versus third party. I mean, there's a lot of different things.
Whatever it
But part
takes
of-
to hit the
one last
50%.
thing. But
I'm
part of
okay.
that too is, with the operating costs is, okay, what portion of that is O&M or capital improvement, like returfing the fields or improving the lights? Because we need to know that piece too, because I think that's a little bit
That can be amortized.
amortized, exactly. Yeah.
Operating is not going to be amortized.
Exactly.
I mean, you're going to pay it and it's going to go up every year.
Agreed.
That's just all there is to it.
Agreed.
There should be a way that staff can project a program and be able to tell you, well, we think we'll be able, in the second year, we will be able to cover this. The third year, we'd be able to cover this. In the 10th year, you're going to have X amount of additional expenses because of whatever. There should be a way. I'm sure there's a computer program somewhere that could take that and present it to us.
That's what that's what we're just getting ready to
That's what we're
complete.
doing, 15,
We're on the,
75.
how many years? The third year of that same thing we did 3 years ago, which is calculate, we're going to have X amount of improvement in order to get us to this point. What we didn't
But
anticipate
according
was
to these numbers, Doug,
But what
we're
we-
not even close to
I
50%.
know, but what I'm saying is what we didn't calculate in is some of the additional costs that we've incurred. So, because you can't see the future.
The
we didn't
problem
think
with
about
this,
it.
So maybe now we should.
yeah,
The problem is
the
not
problem with this
separated,
is we've
soccer
got the
and
soccer
parts of-
and the park blended.
And we
They've got to
only
be
look at soccer
separated.
debt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we only look at soccer costs. I mean, I'll have to be fair. We only look at soccer costs. So this encumbers of everything. So it's hard to say without Laura giving it to us.
But we have to
just
use the
what it
same philosophy with, with other amenities as well. Pool, we 100% eat that cost every year. That gets absorbed into the residents.
No, that's not true because we sell out passes.
I'm sorry, 95%.
Well, yeah.
95% gets
But
Well,
absorbed.
because they don't use it, because outside sources don't use it. So it does get absorbed by all of us.
Well, even if
There's
100%
not a
of
Exactly.
even if 100% of Gateway used it, we still would not have any increase in revenue because it's non-revenue
That
generating.
is correct.
Because it's paid for through assessments. You pay for your ability to go to the pool through your
So is it
assessments.
worth looking at? Do we want to continue it?
All I'm saying is that there
Is
is a
it
portion of Parks
important?
and Rec in every community and every town, city, and state that a portion of it's revenue generating, a portion of it is not. It is a benefit, it's a value. We need to determine what that percentage is for Gateway.
And
Maybe we
whether,
don't-
again,
Maybe Gateway doesn't need a public pool.
Okay, just apply the same thought process to your own communities when you're thinking about Gateway. That's all I'm saying. If we're gonna make
don't make,
statements,
this is not a Pelican
It-
gateway. This is strictly a gateway proposition.
No, this is a usage percentage. to
Because
usage.
all of us-
So it
all
will
of us
apply,
pay
it will
for it
apply
now.
to us separately, to Pelican on its own mindset, to Gateway its own mindset, and to an overall. I think what Doug is trying to say is, would this fly a Pelican? Because, your usage for one specific item into your amenities that is not as high, are you gonna cut it or are you gonna still continue it? Like, do they think that way? I guess.
That's right. Well, they are.
I think that's.
They're
that's
thinking
what I'm
about things
saying.
like cutting out free coffee. I mean, Pelican's looking at cutting a lot of things that heretofore have been
free
a,
coffee's a little different than a pool.
but it's money. That's all. Yeah. It's $100,000
I get
a year
what
for
I'm
coffee. But they're looking at that just for that very reason.
I'm suggesting that we take and we have 3 analyses. One for the pool, one for the park, and one for the soccer. And in each one of those,
And Fun Park,
I'm sorry,
and Fun Park separately?
yes, Parks and Rec separate from the soccer, so 3 analysis. figure out what the operating and the capital costs are, then we can always come back, for the pool example, we can come back and say, hey, the pool is $400,000. Do we want to have a subsidy on that at 100%, or do we want to have it at 75, or pick a number? But then that means you're going to have a fee to cover the rest. Same thing with the new park. We can take and have it totally subsidized, which is what we're doing right now, or we can assume that you're now going to be able to play pickleball, but you got to be able to pay to play pickleball. You want to play basketball, you can play basketball, but you got to pay to play basketball. Who's collecting the money? You're going to create a nightmare doing this.
Well, you can do it through Facilitron.
The soccer is easy because we have a vendor, and it's going to be maybe vendors that you're going to be dealing with. On the other, you're talking about every single resident in the community.
It's not, because we're looking at the different membership programs that if it's Civic Rec or Civic Plus, Pelican has a program that you guys use. I don't know that you pay for it, but like you have a rental thing. Similar to Facilitron, where you can have a point of sale through that membership program. We're looking at those as well. So that way you have your residents not.
That's going to be
Separated in
discussed.
four. I would do dog park.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing with the
Dog
pool,
park, fun park, pool, and soccer.
I've been hearing for a lot of years about, my choice of words may not be right, but how old the pool is and how much it needs refurb. And then we've kicked that can down the road because that's a big can. So sooner or later, whether it's next year or 3 years from now, but there's going to be some significant expense related to upgrading or modernizing or however you want to call it.
Into it.
It's right.
We've done that. We've done the majority of the upgrades over the last 3 years. The only remaining item
Right?
is the surface,
Yeah.
and that's this year.
And
And it's like
what are we going to pay for that this year?
250.
It's 170, 170,000.
Okay.
So that's
But also,
it.
like, I just want to remind everyone too, look at the communities that are being built. They all have great resort style pools, amenities, pickleball, tennis courts. I mean, that's part of the draw. So this community's been around for 30 plus years. If we're going to adhere to our mission statement, which is to maintain Gateway as a community of choice or whatever the
Fair
verbiage
community.
is, we have to continue to maintain all standards. That's, the house.
At what cost is my only question. At what cost?
Well,
Our costs are going up extraordinary every year.
So I don't want to get bogged down because I do want to talk about some of the other projects that are either in design or have been contemplated or discussed in some form or fashion. We haven't really gone into the weeds. So one of them that is currently under design right now with Tetra Tech is the Sherman Soccer Complex parking lot expansion. So essentially back in the back where the dog park is, that is wrapping up, but the construction dollars, the $500,000, that we've got to figure that out.
To tell you the truth, that whole list right there, as far as I'm concerned, until I see the analysis of these other three, those are all vulnerable,
All on the back burner.
all on the back burner. Why would I want to spend 500,000 for a complex out there when it may not be here?
Fair statement.
Lights at the pool, if we're talking about O&M, what do we need the lights for?
Well, so one of the things there, if we're talking about generating revenue, if we're going to have, so let's just say when the park is done, and for increased usage, you'll need to have lights on those. I mean, you should have lights on your pickleball and on your other things so they can be leveraged more hours of the day. Putting lights on the pool could give you the ability to offer swimming lessons at night. You could do aerobics at night. You could do some other things that could potentially revenue generate. Now, does that revenue, would that offset the cost of the expense for the lights? I don't know, but I think we should be considering it. We just got to make, again, it's like, what do we want to pay for? What's 100% recoverable through revenue, and what percentage are we going to do because it's a benefit or a value to the community?
Right now, parking for soccer is free, right? So if we got $20 a car coming into park, give them a parking pass, you have to have somebody there to get the money.
JetBlue.
But, there's money there.
Well, I will tell you.
We talked
so
about that before. And
I'm saying we're
This
serious.
past weekend, I was in
unreal.
in Miami, in Miramar, in their park complex, and they charged $2 for every
Which is
car.
nothing, but
Every
I mean-
car to come in and park, $2. They had someone at the gate, but that's, you
Sounds
know,
like the outdoor gun range.
yeah, I mean, but literally,
What?
that's things we should be potentially thinking
Yeah.
about.
People
Yeah,
manage
absolutely.
their
I would tell you this,
salary.
I did talk to Chelsea about parking last Friday. What was it, 500?
Oh, unreal. It was opening day for one of the, either football or soccer, and
You could not get into here.
no.
They were parked in front of the gates here, they were parked on the sides, they were parked all around the pond. The school parking lot was open, was totally full. They were parked all along Griffin, they were parked across the street from the church.
That's a lot of revenue. we
I mean,
miss.
that was, I couldn't drive. It took me 7 minutes from this to get to the, halfway to the dog park.
We're looking for all ways to get revenue. And that is definitely a user cost.
And we did talk about that would be utilized with the gate. Remember when the Parks and Recs committee suggested us to have the gate that would have closed? That would be,
We could generate about 60K just if we charge for parking on Friday and Saturday. $2 per head. I mean, just alone.
So if you did it $10 a head, what would it be?
Well, you're not
It'll be-
gonna- you're not
They'll
gonna
be
charge like
parking
$2
across the
per
street in the
head.
church lot, walking across.
When you go to a stadium, what do you pay at JetBlue?
This is-
I
watch
think
an 8-year-old kick a
$2
soccer
is,
for an hour.
it's, yeah.
I mean, $2 is typically reasonable.
Well, first we have to have a parking space. Let's
Well, then you
go.
got to put up a gate and you got to do, I mean, so there's other.
Well, that or you do
Or you have to
like
get
the
Other
parking
beach,
questions and
spaces.
answers,
like,
okay.
like the beach or the county does, where you have to pay through the app and do that. You go downtown and park and you want to go eat, you got to pay to park. The counties put it at all of theirs.
A lot of the parks, they will literally have people at the gate. They'll just take the $2. You can pay through your phone.
Yep.
Or you can just give them cash,
Yep.
whatever. But anyway, but there's a lot of different opportunities.
So do you guys want to push this conversation off until you get the additional analysis?
Let's
Yes,
come back again.
absolutely.
Okay,
And
just
then I
because,
want to talk about concession stand opportunities, like have them come up with some ideas, if it's putting that out for bid and renting it out to a vendor,
Well-
a restaurant that wants to come in and revamp it and we just rent it out for the whole year to that restaurant and let them run with it.
Yeah.
We have the people, so, which is the most difficult part for restaurants to have. The people are already here.
The crowd's here.
The
Yeah.
crowd is here, so that is like a big thing. So, that is a huge opportunity to me,
Is the guy, the vendor who does the soccer, has he ever come back and said, hey, let me use the food stand?
Concession stand.
they used to use it for free and we didn't charge them anything.
Yeah, but I mean, is that an opportunity for him to say, generate some of that money that we're going to be asking him to put up, 400, 500,000 bucks? Would this help him offset some of that?
The problem, again, the problem is it's not just the soccer guy. You have flag, you have you'd have to put it out to bid. And we could tell
Here-
them.
here- here's
What
the-
I'm saying is
what-
the
and here's
soccer
the-
guy or
here's
the
the
main
problem.
guy may want to do it, and then he takes care of it at all times and generates revenue.
Soccer's not
all
going to
the
want to
time.
do it, but here, the problem that we ran into towards the end was when we started, after Christian Soccer Association, because there was the only, since the field was built for 10, 15 years, only Christian Soccer Association used those fields because they helped start it. And it was all of their equipment, all of their stuff. Once they left and we brought in other leagues and they were all using the concession stand, well, everyone wants to leave their food in there because you need to buy it and you have leftover stuff. And so then it was like, okay, whose stuff is where and who's using what, I didn't clean up, it becomes a little bit of a problem when you've got multi-tenant use in the concession stand. It can be done.
Well, if it's got the opportunity to generate a profit, then you might be able to generate somebody through a bid to come in and.
Absolutely.
You
and
could
run it.
probably get an organization or a private or commercial person to come in and rent
Space.
rent the space. And literally, to me, that would be the easiest thing. Now, we'd have to probably put a stove in there and bring it up to code and all that
could be
kind of stuff. But
on them.
A lot of times the concessionaire RFQs proposals will require the vendor to make proposals as to what they will provide. I mean,
Because every restaurant, like if one pizza is different than burger, what is needed, so it could be different based on that.
right. But to me, and we won't get as much revenue. We wouldn't get as much revenue if we owned it and managed it, but we also wouldn't have to deal with
The headache of it.
the headache.
Well, and-
It's gotta be a better deal than competing with those food trucks. Those prices of food trucks are ridiculous.
And that's
They
that's
are
that's why
ridiculous.
partnering up with like the charter high school and having their clubs, to my mind, it went to the Florida Everblades, right? You go to a Florida Everblades game, it's managed by the high school kids. They're trying to generate revenue.
They're doing service, they're not cooking.
Understood,
Yeah.
understood. So it's similar concept, but that's something we've just started having conversations because that concession stand is going to be opened up here in the next month, converted back. So
What does it look like nowadays?
it was storage and it's going to be reverted back to storage. I mean, reverted back to a concession stand.
And that's another,
Storage of
I
food.
mean, another area of opportunity is all these leagues need storage space. We used to offer some of it, you know,
We still do at a nominal cost.
but I mean, like,
But it's
I mean,
not
just bringing a
private.
couple connexes in, this is a hypothetical, but I mean, you could charge, because people want to leave all their equipment. They don't have anywhere to store it. Like Mark, he's got hundreds of soccer balls. Where's he going to put that, in his garage?
He puts them in our storage closet
yeah.
for $250 a season.
Yeah. So I mean, we can.
That's
charge for
nothing,
that.
so like,
Well, let's see the
Okay, let's see the
operating
cost.
numbers.
Yep.
anything else for Chelsea?
I
to
just
work
want to
on, Laura?
caveat that some of it will be easy to separate. A lot of it is not, but I will do my best because we didn't track it that way. So I'll
Oh,
do
your
what I
best.
can. Yep,
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
The target is to get to the 50% the first year, escalating.
I
To
think that's
75.
reasonable. I think that's
I'd
50%
like to
is
see both of them,
reasonable.
Bob.
Yeah.
I'd like to see one analysis at 50 and one at 75.
Well, do it great, do some steps,
Well,
whatever,
what we're dealing
I'm
with.
good with it. I just want to lower our burden.
I didn't hear what you said. She was talking to me.
Let me just add one more thing on that. What we're talking about, though, is the total impact to residents, how much they pay. If we took money from here or money from there, I don't think most residents are going to say, gosh, I really wish I wasn't spending as much on X versus Y. So part of this is we have to be looking at expenditures across the board. So if we want to offer amenities and we only want to recoup 50% of that, then there's other dollars in other places that we have to look at as well.
If it
You
puts,
understand what I'm saying?
if it puts it into perspective, the Gateway household pays around $240 a year for all of the Parks and Rec stuff. The .15s pay $37
A year.
a year, just for
That's-
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
So,
A .15 is $37 a year.
Everybody that's not Gateway pays
Oh,
37.
oh.
Commercial and Pelican.
well, we've got some homework. We'll bring it back to you. Do you want it at the next workshop or do you want it before?
Next
Everyone
workshop's
knows.
fine.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not in
November-
any big rush. I'd
Yeah.
much rather do diligence.
Well, let
and
me
really
ask-
think
I'd
this
rather have,
through.
yeah.
Maybe I'm
that
asking
time
the
to be
same
a little more
question a different
thorough.
way.
Yeah.
If a Pelican household, a Gateway household person pays for the use of the soccer, and then they pay a supplement for their child to play. An outside resident comes in, doesn't have any of the fixed burden, but they just pay the supplement,
It's
right?
different though, and this is, I've heard
That's
this,
no?
I've heard this before, but you have to
I'm
look at this
asking,
differently. Let me lay it out. If you're a Gateway resident and you're paying $240, that gives you the ability and the right to have the amenities available. Doesn't guarantee you to participate in leagues or to have that stuff. That's completely separate. And I've been on the fence of whether, when we used to give discounts, $25 annually if you were a Gateway resident, because there was some argument about, well, they're already paying for that. No, you're paying to participate in the league,
ability to
to
be
pay in
there.
the league.
yeah.
Those are completely different. I think we treat them differently.
But I think the leagues do look at that and I could be wrong, the leagues do give the
They
residents.
used to, they don't anymore.
They don't anymore?
No.
Okay.
No, they don't anymore because I think that cost is just absorbed. I think they actually have to just, I think we charged them more for it or something along those lines. But
Usually
they,
in the past,
because it
yeah.
was very difficult for
Okay.
them to track. And again, I will argue that as a Gateway resident, you're not guaranteed to participate in a league. What you're guaranteed is a facility to go to that you could use at any time. It's available to you. So.
I'm just trying to
So
put the
Bob-
cost burden where
Bob,
it
yes.
belongs.
So Ed, as Gateway resident, in his taxes pays the $240. He would, if he wanted to go play soccer, he would go pay that league money to play soccer on
In
our
addition
fields.
to the 240.
Yes.
Whereas the outside people pay nothing towards the 240. They just pay the league.
Yes.
But
Think of it as
it,
a card fee. Like I
Well, that
pay,
pissed me off,
I
too.
pay money to be a part of Gateway
I didn't
Greens,
know 4 people.
but it
So do
doesn't
I.
mean I get to play for free. I got to pay a cart fee.
I couldn't believe it when they charged me
That's-
for my
that's my
card.
league cost.
I went out
It's
and bought
card
my
fee.
own cart and they made me pay to use it.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
All right, so you good? Want to take a recess?
Sure.
All right, so let's take a recess. All right, it's 3:06. Let's all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
You don't have to talk right into it, they're really good.
I know.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They're Tony inspired.
I know.
vibes.
Can you tell I came from the back, right? I was
Yeah.
like, stop giving me all this candy. All right, so we'll go ahead and have roll call. In attendance, we have Carol, Ed, Doug, Bob, and myself. I need a motion for approval of the final agenda.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, public comment. Laura, what do we have?
I have one. Joe McCulca regarding lung disease, and they were looking for some technology help. Just a reminder, you got 3 minutes.
Hi, Joe McCulca, Stony Brook at Gateway. And I'm here to discuss a problem that I know Flavia and I had discussed a while back concerning lawns and lawn diseases. We're having a real problem, and I was wondering if any of you are having problems in your community. We just had a big to-do at a recent board meeting where a lot of letters went out about the lawns, and we're looking for some help.
We were having it, and it's big. There's
It
two
is big.
diseases going. You have the mosaic, and then there was another one right now that my guy called it Stringer's disease. It's
Got
when
me.
your grass, instead of like the Floratam, instead of it going down and in, it stays on top of the
On
ground
top,
because
right,
the
right.
soil is,
Compacted.
well, I don't know if
Well,
it's
it's
compacted,
nutrient
it's
deficient.
diseased.
Yeah.
So they're telling me that I've got to pay an extra fertilization process to go in there to stop it. I know my yard and my next door neighbor's yards look like crap.
Isn't that why you aerate to it?
And
This
what?
aeration helps also.
You can aerate it, but this is, he says, is the soil is diseased.
And it's also something, because like Phil came out, he does mine with Going Green, and he said you can't treat it immediately because you have to wait.
Because of water.
Well, it's water and there's some other condition, I can't remember exactly what he said, but like you can't treat it immediately. Like it's going to be 30, 60 days before you could see any treatment because of some kind of timing or soil considerations, or I can't remember what it was, but.
But to answer
I
your
read-
question, it is a problem in all of Gateway.
Okay.
Big problem.
Okay, so Joe,
Yes.
I spoke with Margaret before this, since I know we all interrupted you and you got like 20 seconds. So I will give you the best partners to go with, which is University of Florida. Extension Lee County will be Dr. Stephen Brown, and Phil will be the one that heads over regarding the sugarcane mosaic
Is
virus.
that what you were talking about, Phil, before?
I don't know who they were talking
Okay.
about, but Phil, he's in Tallahassee. He's the one that you would collect samples of the sod, send it out to Tallahassee. They will test it and they will tell you, yes, it's sugarcane mosaic virus. If that's the case, nothing to do besides.
If not to
replacement.
me, could you get that information over to JT and me, if you can copy
Yeah.
me? I'd love that. I appreciate it very much.
I brought that up with my guy, and he indicated, I'd heard people saying that palmetto is the way to go. It's
Yeah.
the more inexpensive. He says Citra now is basically the same as palmetto, and Citra is a better product, as I understand it.
I will tell you this. So this happened to us 6 years ago. Magnolia was the first case in Lee County. So we had different test areas of how to replace it, what to replace it with, how to eliminate it, how to cat it, how to kit it out. We have palmetto, which is same price as Floritan. And the palmetto will have the disease. However, it's asymptomatic. It shows no signs. So if you want to go to Magnolia Lakes, I'll tell you the location on the common area where we have palmetto. And you look at the lawn right now and you say it's beautiful, but it does have the virus. And you look at an other area that's Floritan, has the virus, and it looks bad.
It looks bad.
Citrus blue, you have to be worried because it does absorb a lot of nitrogen, and we are in reclaimed water. It has a tendency to grow in a carpet-like fashion. So what happens is the roots don't go down in, they become fluffy. So if it's not in a straight yard, when the mower goes in, it will sculpt the grass. So that was our issue because we couldn't control the nitrogen because we are reclaimed water. We stay out of it, and it was more expensive.
Oh, we see it in the common area as well? Common area or just on resident property? No.
Okay, but I appreciate get that information.
So I'll send
Thank
you,
you,
I'll
heard that
send you
one.
the information and then
Something
the
different
contacts.
about it.
I'll have you come.
This seems, anyway.
Talk to the mic.
Yeah, I know. I need, if you need to speak, I need you to come to the mic. You good, Joe?
Yes, I'm good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We've had lawn issues in my community, Karina, and it's been diagnosed as root rot. And the ground just, I mean, the grass just dries out.
So
and
root rot is
dies
a
out.
fungus. So what it does, it almost looks like you overwater your sod. It completely dies and it almost looks like chinch bug. You just pull it out in clumps and it doesn't go. So that's something else. That is treatable though. Sugarcane mosaic virus is not treatable because it's a virus and not a fungus. So root rot, it is in the soil and it is on the grass, but it is treatable.
Well, can we hire you?
No, I learned way too much about sod.
Sod ponds.
Sod, ponds, fish,
It's just-
bees.
I mention it just because it's another problem that's around.
Real estate in
Yeah.
Brazil. Real estate in Brazil.
Real estate in Brazil, yeah, that.
We have no other public comment.
All right.
Brazilian bees.
Local achievement and recognition.
Just it's the start of our fiscal year, and I want to give kudos to Laura and you all for getting through with the new assessment methodology and the budget and passing and getting it uploaded and doing everything that it took. I know it was a lot of work. She has been buried at a keyboard for the last 2 weeks, so I do have to commend Laura and her efforts this year. She did take the lead in making this her own, so good job.
Call her Elton John. She's at the keyboard.
Yeah.
I just have one thing, and I think I would like for you to pull it up, the email that we got for leadership of the Stony Brook HOA regarding the transition. I forwarded you guys the message that I got from their HOA president, JT, and I know we all received an email. I forwarded it to Tony because it's the only one that was not included regarding the huge accomplishment that we have. So if you'd like to read that into the
Yeah.
minutes.
I can.
I have it right here.
Go ahead.
It says, thank you. There's a subject. Good morning, Chelsea. I wanted to take a moment to thank you, Laura, all 5 supervisors, and the staff at Gateway Services for your efforts in helping Stony Brook become private. I'm grateful that we all shared the same goal and were able to work together to make this a reality. I'd also like to extend my appreciation to Tony while working with Katie in making this process smooth for both the district and Stony Brook. On behalf of my board of directors and the residents of Stony Brook, thank you. JT Thomas, President of Stony Brook.
So
Nice.
again, thank you
No,
all. It was a great
It was a
partnership.
pleasure. It was a great team, quite frankly, collaborative. And I appreciate everybody's work on it too. Helped me an awful lot.
All right, so thank you. Advisory committees and items to the report.
I move on agenda items 7A, B, C, A, B, and C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes.
Move on agenda items 8A, B, C, and D.
Second again.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda items. Anything to pull?
No, I move on agenda items 9A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and N, as in Nancy.
O and P.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
That was probably the longest consent agenda. That was the whole alphabet.
That took 300 pages of print.
All right, district engineer, Tetra Tech update.
He is not on. That's because this is the catch up, but I can run through just the project updates.
Is he going to be on later
He'll
on?
be on at the next meeting because that's normally when we do their
Okay.
update. So I can run through, and then if anybody has any questions, I can give a brief update on each project.
All right.
You want me to do that?
Yes, please.
Pump station, irrigation pump station generator. It is on the concrete pad. We had the shutdown earlier this week, so that way they could do the transfer switch and the electricity to the generator. So thank you, everybody, for your patience on that. The force main and irrigation main improvement project, we're waiting on HMGP funding. We did get the SRF funding, which you just approved the resolution in your consent agenda. The Lower Hawthorne well, we're closing that project out. There's just some minor things like some painting of the pipes, but that project will be closed out by the end of this month, if not sooner. The Gateway Utility Storage Building, there's a couple final punch list items, minor things, but the building obviously is constructed and up, and we're working on getting it organized and filled. The FY24 Lakes Construction Management, MRI is putting sod down on Stony Brook's Pond 57 today. They have to irrigate that and water that for at least 30 days and make sure it's established because we were having some issues. They came and tried and relied on Mother Nature, and Mother Nature didn't help. So some minor punch list items on that. The FY25 Lake Bank construction, Metar has finished these projects. This will be closed out. All of the ponds are done for them. Lake Bank Restoration HMGP, Paul and Stephanie are walking with Tetra Tech tomorrow. Some of the 21 ponds that are on the remainder of the priority list that are part of the HMGP grant that we received the $1 million for design. So as we get to 30% design, we'll submit that to the county because we're hoping to dip our hands into 2 different grant pots to hopefully make this 100% free. Sherman Soccer Complex parking lot expansion, we're at 90% design. They're going to wrap up that design of the parking lot, essentially mirroring the back parking lot. I guess proceeding with construction will depend on the conversations that we're having, but they'll go ahead and submit for permits. Public Works building relocation site plan.
A question.
Yes.
Do we have to pay to submit for permit?
Yeah.
Can we hold off on that until we decided whether we really want to move forward?
We could. The problem is we had submitted some time ago. If you recall, it was a wetland back there and we had to withdraw. If we wait too long, it'll be treated as a new application instead of as like a resubmittal. So new application would cost us more if we just resubmitted it.
What cost are we looking at?
I think it's like $1,200 for a new application and like $200 for a resubmittal.
Yeah, and the question on that also is, when was the original application submitted? Prior to the new rule changes for South Florida?
I'd have to find out. Yeah.
Because
Is it under the old rule?
Possibly. That's something that Tetra Tech can check because they've radically changed the rules South Florida did.
If we get the permit, we have like 3 years to.
What does the permit cost? I don't know if it's $10 or $2,000.
Couple $100.
Okay, never mind.
So, so moving on to the Public Works storage relocation, you just approved the interlocal agreement for us to work with the county. This will go on the Board of County Commission meeting in November for their approval. So hopefully we can get that lease or use done. Gateway Commons Park and Admin Building, contractors moving along. They're pouring stem walls. Ed and I took a gander out there last week. If any of you do, or if any of, oh my goodness, I'm stuttering. If any of you are interested in going and visiting the site, please let me know and I can schedule that, and we'll have to wear our, our hard hats and our boots and our vests, but I can schedule that with the superintendent.
That's if you're doing something other than a cursory drive through.
Yeah. If you want to physically walk onto the site, let me know. So they're plugging along. We have some submittals, RFIs. We're going through picking out colors and things like that in preparation of the building. We will have a change order coming in front of you. And I'll mention this now. So when we originally thought of this project going with FPL on all of the lights, we said, okay, this is what we want to proceed with. After looking at the tariff more closely, the bollard lights, so like the little pedestrian lights that are along the sidewalks, it's cost prohibitive to go with FPL. We'd be paying tenfold for the bollards. So we are looking at buying those and having the electrician and then us owning the bollard lights, but everything else is FPL.
And when you say everything else, that would be what?
Parking lot lighting, essentially.
Parking lot only?
Yeah.
We're not talking about pool
Elevated lighting.
or any other
Correct.
amenity lighting at this point?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So we're working through that with the engineers and the architects. So the CCTV sewer, that report, they missed one manhole. They've got to go back and inspect that, but we should have that report in the next month. So that'll be coming in front of you for your review. And then as part of that report, they'll make recommendations on some of the repairs on their findings of that report. And then we'll be gearing up to solicit proposals for those repairs and doing those this fiscal year. Hopefully with enough budget that we can do a next step of more CCTVing. CCTV storm. They're plugging along. They're hitting lots of hurdles with Mother Nature, rain, ground infiltration, all that fun stuff. So we have a meeting with them tomorrow to discuss timelines and their request for additional time and compensation. So
Have all of the storm sewer catch basins and mitered end sections been inspected now? Have we gotten everything yet?
This basin that is under contract will conclude all our entire system.
And it's taken us 4 years to do it?
I believe so, yes.
So we will, it's a question now, will we restart the process?
I don't plan on doing a full cleaning. I intend on doing like what Pelican is doing.
Just catch
The
basins
problem,
and-
yes.
Okay, good, that's what I was getting at.
Yep. Moving on, GIS support. So we are transitioning all of our assets into GIS and tying that into Cartograph. We're working with, this has been an ongoing project, I think even before I started, but we're darn near close to being finished. Tetra Tech is updating everything. We've got to get all of Pelican stuff in, which we've been working on ponds, aerators, things like that. So
How do we access that?
you don't.
You can't.
The goal is by the end of this fiscal year is to get a forward-facing, public-facing
So the
thing.
plan is to
Yes,
make it.
to show who
available, 'cause
owns
you guys
what.
have access
Yep.
to it.
But the, excuse me, in the safety and security meeting, subsystem meeting this week, when we were talking about the Pelican system and the need for the association with Passarella, I understand there's some problems now with incorporating the C-click fix into the system here that might slow down that integration.
I don't anticipate that. I mean, we're doing the inspections and things like that on our side. Maybe you and I can talk and you can give me some clarification on
I
what.
only heard enough to be dangerous. I just,
Yeah, to my knowledge, all of the Pelican assets have been added. So
they're okay over there at Passarella, but incorporating over here and blending in C-click fix is where the stumbling block or the hurdles coming.
yeah, Tetra Tech's working on.
Cartograph is not as flexible as we originally thought.
I think
Is that
it's a naming thing. It's like
Yeah.
you may have the ponds called ponds and in Cartograph they're called lakes or something. So it's like a matching up, like it's a mapping thing. It's mapping being like this
Like
field,
labels.
this field at Passarella goes into this field in Cartograph and they have to line that all
The
up.
lake
There's
is
a
really a
little bit of
misnomer.
cleanup that
Yeah.
Tetra Tech's doing.
Lakes are misnomers. They really are storm.
Well, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
like that's
I
just
know.
like something I chose. I don't know if that's actually the
Alright.
case.
Nothing that's we can't overcome.
Right.
Yeah, if I may, just for clarification, you say the public facing one, for example, water lines, sewer lines.
That's not going to be
What's
on it.
Oh,
Okay, I want to make sure,
No.
because those are
Just
exempt from
the
disclosure.
assets that the public can legally see.
Or, yeah, thank you.
Development updates, Arborwood Phase 3 Stormwater Punch List. That'll be coming hopefully in front of you for conveyance and acceptance at the next board meeting. We just finalized that punch list 3 years later. Daniels Parkway Apartments, they're going to be resubmitting. They've changed up their design and adding a new building. So
What is that again?
Daniels Parkway Apartments, that's the boot over off of,
New building?
yes.
What are they putting in the water?
No, they're splitting one and adding,
They're
splitting
splitting
one.
in two different phases, I believe.
Yeah, so we're waiting on their resubmittal. Santa Luz, we are working through that with legal counsel.
If I want, on that, we received from Lennar and Lennar's counsel a work repair list with contractors listed and a multi-page work authorization settlement agreement that I've made comments on. Robert Cooper, the attorney for the association, has made comments on. I've given my final comments to Chelsea and to Rob Cooper today. So we get that back to the attorney for Lennar, and hopefully we can keep going forward on it. But there was a lot of overkill, I'll call it, in that
What's
document.
the timeline on getting that pond fixed?
We're still trying to do it by the first
This dry
quarter
season.
of 26.
This upcoming dry season
That's
is the goal.
shooting for the
I
first.
heard that last year.
Probably.
the year before.
At least we have documents circulating, Ed, which is progress in this realm, quite frankly.
Feet to the fire. All right. And then Garrett FM, you all see the construction of that every day as you drive by. They are putting in the sidewalks this week. And you'll see that they were able to work with us and the county and kind of meandering around some of the oaks so that way they could be salvaged. So that's it for Tetra Tech's update.
All right.
They don't
Admin-
look particularly hurricane-proof.
Tell me about it.
Approved by the county.
I've hidden in the elevator shafts if I'm in that building.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Everything else will blow away.
All right, this next item is the Flock Group proposal for continuity of services. I sent you all an email about a week or so ago, kind of giving you a little bit more detail. Does anybody have any questions regarding the item?
Why do we want to, I thought we killed this with that deal with the county last week or last month.
You did not put this in the budget, but this was, when we went to tell them that, hey, we're going to cancel the services, this is what they offered. I said I would bring this in front of the board for your consideration.
One and done.
And we haven't had any conversation, they haven't reached out to us, Lee County Sheriff's Office?
Nope.
That tells you.
Need to know if you would like to proceed with this contract or not.
I don't want to proceed.
See no reason to proceed.
What's it going to do for us if we do?
I agree.
It's
You want to
no-
vote, or you want a motion, or you want a consensus?
Motion, please.
A motion? Carrie, you
I
want to?
move to, I move to not move forward with the Flock Group proposal.
Let's get the flock out of here.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes to terminate the contract.
Thanks, Bob.
You've
Thank
been
you,
waiting all
Bob.
meeting for that, right?
You wrote that down.
It's been waiting a whole week since the agenda went out. All right, thank
I
you.
have my
We'll-
moments.
We will, so just so you know, I mentioned before, we have 16 cameras. 10 of those cameras, we believe we can get notice by the December date. 6, we'll have to buy out that contract. So,
That's fine.
all right. Next, administrative or district
I have
manager.
a question, buy out the contract, you mean there's a clause for a short amount of
Early termination.
early termination? Okay,
Yeah.
just make sure if the early termination, or if we're looking at a $300, then might as well continue. Like, I don't know what the cost is, like,
I think it was $500 a camera, but don't quote me on that. We'll go
Says
through.
here.
Yeah.
Like 300 or 500 a camera, I
Yeah.
can't
okay, so
remember.
that's, it's cheaper
It's-
to
it's
terminate.
considerably less
It's
than that.
3,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terminate.
So we will work with Tony on getting that termination out for sure. All right, monthly reports. Miss Laura is up first for administration. Anybody have anything
Trying
for
to pull
Laura?
my stuff here. I don't have anything for Laura. Bob?
The bid status for ITQ 25-11 PW for the aerators, said we're going to vote on it today. I didn't see it anywhere in the
No,
package.
because this is technically September's, or what month are we in?
That'll be next
This-
month. That'll be
this
next
is-
meeting,
This should have
right?
been for September.
Yeah, so because it was under my $30,000 threshold, I went ahead and approved that contract because it was going to be on one of your September meetings. So it's been,
So it's approved.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have a problem with it. I just
Yeah.
didn't see it in the package.
yeah, it's
And I
we're a
was
month
looking to see
old
it.
on
Okay.
these reports.
We literally just copied them from when they were supposed to happen 2-3 weeks ago, whatever.
And is there, under the communication, we have a new banner for PPCA AC messaging?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
I've
a
never seen that.
digital banner. It's not a physical banner. It's a digital banner that,
Is that the one that Ms. Zimmerman is
Patricia, yes.
spearheading? Okay.
yes. Anything else for Laura,
Anything
admin?
for Laura? I'm just trying to down, internet's horrible.
All right, Public Works, anything for Paul?
Oh, yes, for Laura. Laura, at last year at budget time, we said you were going to keep track of everybody's hours and what they were doing and everything. And then at the end of the budget, which it now is, you would do a report to us as to the exact percentages that were used and all that sort of stuff. Can you do that now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll put
Can we
that
have that for
And
October,
we'll put that in the monthly report
or November?
for this 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
We'll put that in at the end of the monthly report.
That'd be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you remind me again, what is our target for the admin building and for the phase 1?
The target is one and the same, and they're anticipating substantial completion in June, but that does have,
You said April last time.
it is, they do have 76 days of wiggle room in there, so I am hoping April, but the contractually, they have until June for substantial.
So we'll only have a few months in our physical year.
26.
26, okay. The reason why I was asking is just trying to anticipate how our business might need to change in that atmosphere. So I think we can probably wait and have these conversations next year, but what I'd like to see is, especially in Parks and Rec, what is the, with Gary, her roles and responsibility, how is she looking to grow and expand?
We're having those internal conversations. Ultimately, Prax discussed it as well. I think, we have that 6-month window or whatever it may be, kind of where we're in the in-between, but the telltale is to give it a year's time and see where we need anything or where we have to shift.
And what I'm talking about is, again, if we're talking about revenue generating opportunities, let's just use pickleball as an example. Let's not wait 6 months or a year before we decide we want to do senior pickleball leagues or something structured,
Yes.
where, things of that nature. Let's be ready for when it happens.
We're anticipating that, and so she's having those conversations with Prac, and then those will come in front of you, and all of this kind of ties back into that membership programming and what do we want to offer the first year with limited staff? What can we offer with our limited staff without breaking the bank? And then from that point on, we know the amenities that we're going to have. We're going to have basketball, padel, bocce, and pickle. So we've got to focus around those.
And I did promise my son I would ask. I did hear like a couple months back we did some stocking of some of the ponds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Was it just selective ponds? Do we have plans to continue in other areas?
Yep. So that was put in the pond that is actually right behind the pool. We do have money in the budget this year, and we're going to time it right. Talk to the vendor because there's an appropriate time to stock. So we want to make sure we do that and then be selective with which pond we do. We obviously don't want to keep stocking the same pond.
And what are we stocking it with?
There's
fingerlings or
a slew full of different things.
Okay.
I think there's like 3 types of fish, mosquito fish, bass.
I'd have to ask. Met Tower is the one
Yeah.
who did it.
The only reason why I ask is if we're doing I don't know what they call them, just young fish. We have
It
so many
is.
invasive species
So that's what I
that
want
they're
to.
just getting eaten before they have a chance to mature. So we may have to,
Yeah.
The
But
Pelican
that-
program
that's
is twofold. The first is sterile carp to keep the place clean and healthy. And then the second phase is the game fish. But all the fish are purchased from the state of Florida. So I don't know if you
And the
said.
sizes are all the same. Like we purchase,
Yeah.
we have it. from
Now,
the same
we also
location.
put in fish gates to keep them. I don't know if you want to consider that.
So
Otherwise, they'll just float on out to the 6 Mile Slough. But all the fish that are stocked, every pond that has stocked fish in Pelican has a fish gate to keep them in. It wasn't that much to put the gates in, but.
Yeah.
okay, that's it.
So we're done with Laura?
All right.
Was
Otherwise, it's
this
never
Laura?
ending, though.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so now
Public Works.
Paul. Okay, questions for Paul? I'll go last. No, none. Okay. Just want to follow up on the road assessment on the potholes on Gateway Boulevard, Griffin. Is that what you had?
Yes, good afternoon. So we've submitted about 38 RFAs to the county just recently, within the past couple of weeks, I believe. We're just waiting on the response from Lee County so that they could refill in all those potholes.
Okay.
Mark went out and did an assessment, and that was the results of his assessment, so.
These aren't landscape related.
No.
Okay.
No, and I think that's the reason why we went out, staff did it, because we didn't want the ones that they are responsible for.
Right,
Okay.
the roadways that they are responsible for.
I think, given the time that the county takes to get them fixed, which is a little bit longer than what I was expecting, I think this is something that needs to be done on an ongoing basis. Because out of nowhere, in a week, you're going to find 6 or 7, sometimes 10 potholes just appear. So I think this is not a one-time thing. I think this is something that to be on the calendar for staff, like either if it's once a month or bi-monthly, go out there and just send it all out.
That's a great idea.
Have you
and-
driven Daniels lately?
Oh, it's horrible.
it's horrible.
But they have been doing some patching, but there's a lot of potholes in
It's
Daniels.
countywide at this point, but yeah, I agree. Doing it, maybe every 2 months, that's reasonable.
Okay, and then the conversation that we had with the school, I wasn't sure if it's going to be Public Works or it's going to be you. You had a meeting with the Gateway Elementary regarding the queuing. Is that going to be, were you involved or is that a Chelsea?
Laura was, I was out sick.
Okay, so I just want us to keep an eye on, because I don't think we have higher detail for a while for parking enforcement on Griffin or, Bayou. I think that needs to take place. I know we had a conversation about looking into either hiring for detail as state troopers or the FWC. I think we have never tried that before. I mean, while we just hire them for detail, we don't really tell them what to do, but it is a great opportunity for us to go ahead and maybe engage with other agencies, since we have with Lee County Sheriff's Office, and pretty much what they tell us is, you hire us, but you don't tell us what to do. And if we choose not to enforce and just tell them, hey, don't do that. So let's try, FWC oversees both of those agencies. So if we want to just get quotes, we have the money in the budget for it. Just let's just do a trial for, not just parking, but also speeding.
We'll reach out.
Okay.
And can we add to that? I know we were talking about specific elementary, but again, we were talking about prior to the meeting. So I was coming down Griffin for the meeting today, right a little bit before 2:00. I couldn't get here because the access to the roundabout, the cars were queued up around the roundabout and there was no way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally had to sit there until finally they slowly started to creep up, and the car in front of me went on the curb to go around, and luckily I was able to drive through. So my issue is, or at least I think one of the potential resolutions for this, and it always has to do with queuing. When parents come to start queuing up and then it backs up. If I had a recommendation, it would be you can't queue until dismissal time. Now, Gateway High School, their problem is because they queue at the gate. They don't even let people inside, which is another, I don't know how many hundreds of feet of available, area. So the only way they can queue is out around the roundabout, or I've got pictures where they're all parked along the side. And that's not any better either. So, I know the elementary school over here did a really good job 2 years ago, last year, to improve that, but we still get some queuing. But I think that the solution is you don't queue until dismissal time. So you can't even line up until 2:30 when the gate gets open and kids are coming out. Because once they start coming out, then you've got motion. Until that, if they start lining up hours before, and what happens is now the game is I get there, the sooner I get there, the closer I'll be. So now they're backing up. It used to be like 30 minutes before. Now it's 2 hours.
Yes, it's almost 2
And
hours
it's gotten
before.
bad. So if we can maybe.
2 hours. Wait for your kid to come out.
Some of them are
2
out
hours,
there
yep.
at like 10
So
o'clock. in
maybe the
morning, yeah.
recommendation is
I am
that you
really,
don't queue
really old,
until
aren't I?
dismissal time.
2
You
hours.
make that a motion?
But here's the issue.
can't
We
force
don't
it.
have, that's my reasoning why I wanted to temporarily abandon hiring the county sheriff's office to do the enforcement. Okay, because first they couldn't enforce because we didn't have signs. God knows I bothered the heck out of that county and I got about 50 signs in Griffin. That was not what I was looking for. I was looking for 2 signs. They're like, okay, we'll give her signs. So we have the signs. So I went to the county sheriff's office and I said, now you can enforce it. We hired for the detail and I can count on both hands how many tickets they wrote. So enforcing is the issue. The Gateway High School there are 2 issues. The Gateway High School in Griffin, they will open the gates 30 minutes prior to dismissal. However, 12:45, it's when they start queuing in. They queue in Magnolia Lakes because we're the closest community and in Hampton Park. Okay. So while we're hiring them for detail, we cannot enforce them to enforce the law, which is beyond my mind. So I think there's a great opportunity for us to partner with FWC or the state troopers and see how do the department work regarding that. But also partnering with Lee County schools and because we did work with elementary, I do believe in the Gateway High School, there is an opportunity of queuing the cars within the property all the way to the back. They just refuse to do it. I have emails back and forth it starts with the principal. She just honestly refuses to do it because it's her way. So to the point that I told her, well, maybe the engineers are wrong and you're right.
Then we're going to start giving tickets out.
But we can hire them to give tickets, but if they don't choose to give tickets, we don't have a say. That's the problem.
And they don't want to give tickets because then they
And
got to
I
go to
have
court.
worked with the resource officers, the two of them for both schools, and say, look, and I had, my son was at that school, and I asked, well, can you send communication out to the parents? And as a parent of no longer at that school, I think I got one email. They're just not active communicating, and there is a safety issue more than anything else. Traffic is one issue. My number one issue, and it's an obligation of the school per their own guidelines, safety of their students. The students are getting drop off on the roundabout and in the middle of Griffin, they're getting picked up, they're crossing the road. That is a safety issue. That it's within their guidelines, and that is something that they need to be addressed. So
I
we
was
can
on
hold
that.
them accountable for that.
I was on the selection committee, I was on the naming committee. We multiple times were told by the county that
15 minutes?
that the high school would work in partnership with Gateway, so that it didn't cause any obstructions or any issues outside of regular traffic hours and all those things. So we supported the school, them coming here, and I was a big supporter. Now they have to show that partnership in return and, do some things that are not blocking our streets and our roads and causing issues to our residents.
On a highway,
Yeah.
on State 82, prior to the turning lane, you cannot in. So it happens at Daniels, but it happens on State Road 82.
They're queuing on Daniels Parkway.
So you got an on-stage
Yes,
partner with us
absolutely.
too? Is that what the board is concise with, trying to get the other two agencies to do the detail with
If we
it?
have to, one of us, I'd be more than happy to go to a school board meeting.
Same here, I mean, we have a
And
good
speak up,
partnership with them.
Yeah.
So I did have recent email communications with SRO for the charter high school. Similar concerns of pulling over, dropping off, the asphalt, deteriorating because of the cars, et cetera. I sent an email out to try to get a meeting set up for this week or next week. Haven't heard back, so I'll follow up because typically Dave Newland, who's the school district's director of safety, attends all of those meetings. So similar to what we did in the past where we had all 4 schools here, I can bring up to him, the same attention of the public high school and addressing those issues. I do know that after Laura and Paul met with the charter elementary school, they did send email communication out saying that, no queuing, it's per their rules, 30 minutes before. But then they also said that Gateway was,
Gateway asked that they not queue until
Yeah.
2:30 because.
which is fine, because we did.
Yes, do not queue at all until dismissal.
You did, I think Ed asked this 3 meetings ago for you to look into the requirements, the LDO and the DO for the school, and if they are within the guidelines of what they were permitted to do.
Yeah.
Did you look into
I
that?
haven't had a chance to.
Because that's important. Once we bring it up, I'm pretty sure they'll be outside. They did not expect that many people to
Yeah.
be in there. So I
Yeah.
think that needs to come forward. Let's look it in to see what were they permitted for, what are the requirements, and then tackle it that way.
Yeah, Madam Chair, also may want to contact the school superintendent, recognizing she's not up for reelection until 2028, but it is an elected position now. And she's the one that probably has a lot of sway
Point.
with the board,
Good point.
Dr. Carlin.
She's not illegal, is she?
She's not in Iowa.
Is the charter school underneath her, though?
No.
That's what I thought.
Well, the charter school has a charter from Lee County School District.
Part of it, it's
But it's a
under, but not
charter.
everything.
Yeah, so, yeah. But I think that's the next, start with the superintendent because they control the principals. I mean,
And I'll make myself available. If not, Doug will too,
Okay.
and we'll be part of that meeting.
I'm jumping back real quick about the road and the issues. We were talking when this first came up about doing the analysis about road counts. I had reached out to Lee County DOT and asked, when's the last time you guys did a road count of Griffin and Gateway? And they said, here's the map, here's where all the information is. It had been years. Lo and behold, 3 days later, the counts showed up on Gateway Boulevard and on Griffin.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get that information posted on their website soon enough because it is September. But, we do have 4 schools in our district.
Okay, so
and-
nothing else for Paul? No? Okay, thank you, Paul. You got
Thank you.
anything for us?
Yep, no,
Okay.
no further updates. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
All right, Mr. Straw,
Oh, Bill.
anything for
Bill.
utilities?
Riled up? I'm ready.
Anything for Bill?
Okay. So Bill, I want us to go over the meter project. I have been receiving a lot of calls and messages and emails and name it all regarding Hampton Park specifically. And a quick summary, could you tell us where we stand, what are the issues that we're resolving, and what can we do to better communicate with the residents? What's their responsibility, what is our responsibility, and how do we move forward?
Okay, so there has been 4 or 5 PVC fittings that belong to the homeowner. So our detailed delineation shows our box, our meter assembly, and our brass nipple that sticks out of the box. The builder or contractors have tied on with a piece of PVC, and that becomes the home ownership. We own the brass, the homeowners own the PVC. Of all the work that we've done this last week, there was approximately 4 or 5 fittings that were found to be leaking. They found them when they were digging. The leaks aren't even large enough to show up on the meter. The meters aren't spinning, so we have no indication other than a couple of the pits had water in them before we started digging, and that's documented. The current process is they are now implementing a leak report, and we get that the following day. They are also supposed to be texting me any addresses that this happens on so that we can try to make contact with the homeowners. But we were following up with an email or a letter, whatever we have on file, to be able to get in touch with the homeowners.
Okay. So that's great. So it's pretty mirrored the communication that I had with them in lieu of contacting me, which is great. The process is really to contact the district, copy me if there's needed, educating them what our responsibility goes to and where it does not. And I do understand the residents' point of, it wasn't leaking before you touch it, but it was just so
You
minor
just
that
didn't know it was
that you
leaking
wouldn't know it
before
was
we
leaking.
dug the hole.
I visit the site, I think 3 times. I think from the 3 or 4 that you're saying, I think there was only one that I could see significantly, like I could tell that there was a leak. Everything else, it was a drop every 5 to 10 seconds. It was nothing that
Right.
it didn't even puddle. I think there was only one that I actually saw a puddle within the box. So I guess I would just ask you for us to continue heavily to communicate in this community, particularly. I'm not sure why this is heavier than any other community. I know we had issues with Stony Brook, but not as heavy. I don't think we had issues in Magnolia and the other communities. It's nothing as heavy as this. But given that you're telling me the quantity is 4 or 5, it's also not as much as they made
That
it
it sounds
sound
like,
like.
yes.
Because I will tell you, I probably get 30 to 40 messages from 2 or 3 residents.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone, and that's why I went on site. So as long as we continue to send the communication to the HOA and just ask them to pass it on, like if they have a leak, please contact us. All I told them is, all I need is an address. I have a leak. If you have a picture, great. I don't need anything else. I don't need to know when you bought the house, who lives in the house, what kind of dog you have. I don't want nothing. I just want, what's the address? You have a leak. And
So
then our staff will
If
handle
I
it.
can just add on to what Bill said. So Met Tower, every single property address that they do a box replacement, they produce a report that includes 24 pictures as well as detailed information, pre-existing conditions, even if there's a stamped driveway, just because we've had claims that, oh, they damaged the driveway. So that report is produced of 24 pictures per address. We get meter reads, if they touch the meter at all, we get the read before, after, etc. To Bill's point, if there is a leak on that report, they check a box and that produces another leak report, which has at least 2 pictures on it with more information. So we are working through these items. The biggest thing that we had, they started in Hampton Park on a Thursday. And of course, everything blew up over the weekend, right? Their Facebook, their social media, everything. I think you and I were on the phone at least 2 or 3 times that
11
weekend.
o'clock at night, yes.
Yeah,
And
so-
you think the fire hydrant was broken, but yeah.
So
Well, our on-call person was getting hammered as well.
This is just not meter replacements, this is box replacement.
box, yes.
Pure box
This
replacement.
particular section that this has happened in is box-only replacement, so we're not,
Not even
So there's
touched in here.
no mechanical.
we're not
being done.
redoing any of the plumbing, we're not replacing the yokes. these little drips that have been seen, if we were doing box and brass on those homes, it would have been a non-issue because we would have been replacing that component.
Anyway.
So
So let me just think, I'm the homeowner, right? You contacted me and you told me I have a leak on my end. How long is the vendor waiting to close that hole for the homeowner to fix the leak? Or are we
Not waiting.
saying, not waiting, we just tell them we
Not
have a
waiting.
leak
There-
and then just closing it up?
There's a day or so delay on the closing of the hole for cleanup now that they've gotten started and gotten out ahead.
But we're not stopping our job. We are
No.
just notifying them, we were here,
Notifying, yes.
we found a leak, you need to take care of it and close
So
the hole. Okay.
Leslie has drafted a letter that we have, and we'll also attach that leak report that we're going to notify the property owners. I think even to the point where you might be knocking on doors, right? Have you,
Well, we haven't had anything since.
everybody knock on wood, please. Okay, so
It was
are over
literally the
communicating,
first
we're
2
doing
days.
everything. I mean, we had a town hall, we sent the notice to their CAM, who sent it out to the residents. So you know how it is, they get on Facebook instead of calling the people who can solve their problem, they call Facebook to try to solve their problem. So that is the message. We met with a couple of their board members earlier this week and told them the message you drill is you call the district. So we may have a couple requests coming in seeking reimbursement of that PVC fitting. I told them they could make the request. Ultimately, you know, everybody's got a boss. I have a boss. You are my boss. And so I anticipate having at least 2 of those at your next meeting. But it's not our responsibility because of our line of demarcation of ownership. So
As an example, the entirety of Pelican area that we did was box only. There was 1 leak that I'm aware of.
it's just been, at some point you start to question, why is there a consistent issue here?
Yeah, and so, and so the twofold, so we got communication, we can just educate them as much as we can, and then just continue to have the communication with the contractor. They don't speak on behalf of the district, to redirect communication to staff. So I don't want them to just walk away. I want them to, here's the card, contact staff, contact the district, and avoid those conversations.
We have bizarre, we have had some residents leaving their dog poop bags on the contractor's excavator.
They're literally throwing this stuff out there.
Multiple days in a row. So we have identified those people, and the contractor's been told to contact the sheriff's office if they see it again, but we will be reaching out to them saying, don't do that. That's, you know, destruction of
We actually
property.
know who the resident is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we
so-
know where they live.
Okay.
Tell me we're not doing DNA.
Anyway, these are
Okay.
just issues as
So
part of
please
a
contact
project.
the resident, CC the HOA, and,
Yeah, it's been fun. So, anything else for Bill?
no, I don't have anything else. Nothing else for Bill? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. All right. Tony, you're up.
Oh, I have one thing. I don't know where it falls. Have you guys heard anything about the Captiva Bank property being sold?
Bank?
The Captiva Bank,
Across the street from you.
the Captiva Bank property.
Annabelle Captiva?
Sanibel Captiva Bank, that
That
property.
building?
Yeah.
I haven't heard
Okay.
anything.
All right.
Did talk to Rick Brylansky and that property that was going to have the 220 apartments. That's still on hold, but nothing about that piece of property there.
All right, thank you.
The software agreement, I think that's resolved that, I believe, or
Yep.
and finally resolved that, so we'll not take that off the list. Auditor contract, that's staff's negotiating with the next ranked firm. I think, have you completed that, Chelsea, I think?
Yes, that's been done. Laura's been plugging away at answering all
Yeah,
of
they've
their
been getting all
questions.
kinds of background stuff from us already.
Okay, so we have the new contract with them?
Yep.
Okay. Daniels Parkway Apartment, utility issues, as Chelsea mentioned in the engineer's report, there's been a 5th resubmittal with regards to Daniels Parkway Apartments. The agreements that the district has for the upsizing and the irrigation wells, they're 99% done. It's a matter of attaching the correct site plans and just making sure the details and the exhibits match what's going to be in the ground. And now that they've changed the plan, the exhibits will change, but the concept will still be the same. And I'm not sure what their time frame is now, Chelsea. Initially, they wanted to start hitting the GERT and submitting to Lee County for the DO and for everything else now, in my understanding. So that's obviously pushed back a while. Telelakes Office Park, I appreciate Chelsea getting the assignment of dedication for landscape monuments. So the district now owns the road and has the landscape easements up front at the two entrances. So that's, again, a good effort. Stony Brook Roads and Streets, I can't, again, thank the group from Stony Brook, Katie, very helpful, and Ellen Levine with Becker also. Their board timely, quickly responding to approving documents, reviewing documents. Katie and I pushing the Pavis Law Firm to.
Let me throw Nan in there. Nan was amazing at being
deal with Nan.
responsive.
So you guys were in the trenches with that stuff, and and dealing with and Pavis Law Firm. I appreciate them helping us, even though it took a while with U.S. Home to convince them there were no real downside to them on this one. There are a couple little cleanup items we have to do that in your board packet. One of the consent agendas items was to terminate the traffic enforcement agreement. So Chelsea will be communicating that to the Lee SO and the county attorney's office. And we coordinated that with Katie also on the time frame. At the last minute, we realized we had an agreement need to be terminated. So Ed, I appreciate you coming to the district to sign that termination agreement.
For such a historical event, I was expecting a Donald Trump pin. I didn't have one.
Somebody took it on the way up.
They took it.
Yeah, it was in the packet, Ed. But so I appreciate you doing it.
That was used for the Town Lakes Tribe.
And again, just appreciate everybody's work everybody worked hard to accomplish that.
Yourself included.
Yeah, well, thank you. No, and again, it was a good team. Katie and I bugged each other appropriately as necessary, and it was a pleasure working with her. So thank you to Stony Brook folks. Margaret and Joe, if you can pass that on to Katie. With regards to the.
That's coming off.
Yeah, that's done. Yeah.
Coming off.
So that's,
So it really is over?
Stony Brook Gateway Master Association, as of 9/30/2025, owns the roads in Stony Brook.
The answer is yes, Carol.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, but he's a lawyer, so it took more words.
Make sure.
It's paid by the word.
Yeah. And so, again, the exhibits, the document, the ultimate agreement, and all of its exhibits was 333 pages long. Anyways, and that was part of the mind-bending process to make sure everything was squared away at the end. So I appreciate Katie shepherding that aspect of it too, very much so. The Santa Luz, I mentioned that. We'll keep pushing them now that they've actually came back to us with a document. Not acceptable, but we'll push them and work with Rob Cooper, who's the attorney at Hans Lozier representing the association. Because one of the important parts for the association is to make sure that whatever happens here from a release is only as to this particular issue, not the other 558 construction defect issues that the Santa Luz folks may have. The Sunshine Law PowerPoint, still working on that, so it's still shooting for October board meeting. Reimbursement for damages to Flowway, the board, we have in the agenda packet, and we have assigned copies of the settlement agreement release whereby the board, asking the board to approve that today. And
that comes off.
And that will come off, and then we would transmit that to the attorney for Mr. Bradford. And the agreement requires that money to be in cleared funds to the district by October 6th. And then I tried to call the state attorney's office today, but I forgot they're closed because of Yom Kippur. And so just let the assistant state attorney know that this has been resolved. He's been very helpful. John Drury, who he and I, we crossed each other's paths many years ago in the state attorney's office. He became a judge, he retired, and now he's doing part-time. So I appreciate his efforts too. The Zenner demand, we've been working with Chelsea and Leslie on that. We've gotten some movement with regards to Zenner and the responsiveness and their acknowledgement of certain matters that have been very helpful. So I appreciate Chelsea and Leslie.
The amended and restated assessment, is that coming off?
That's done.
Okay.
Yeah, that should come off. Easements for aerators and Pelican Reserve, had a good phone call with Bob, Chelsea, Laura, and Ed Hedges to find an easier way to get some of those easements. Some of the easements are already of record, so we're just trying to wrap all that up. Easement for the Girl Scout lift station, just waiting for, I think, the church to sign it.
Yes.
And send it back. that's debt-free, so there's not an issue of getting any mortgage holders' consent. The storage tank, we've talked about that, Chamberlain lawsuit. On that one, we have an agenda item on that also. We can handle that now or wait until we get to it. So that's the next item on the agenda. Tree line and colonial sign parcels, I have the title work, I have the documents that are referenced in there, and I just need to go through them all and do a short memo to Chelsea about what I think are any issues or access, which is the biggest issue brokers are asking. I've contacted one broker.
We have a value for that right now.
Well,
Yes, we had an appraisal done months back, given both scenarios. He's done that. It's back at PPAC's court if they want to pursue with.
Offering them.
yeah, our numbers are rough back in the envelopes. It's not a full-blown appraisal.
No, we did.
Yeah,
We
you
paid
guys
for
did.
that.
Yeah, and but there's a number of assumptions.
Yes, very much.
Okay, one quick question. If it is decided to offer it to the public, and if someone does make a purchase, do those funds go into O2?
It's the board's decision, but yes,
Thank
I would suggest.
Well, I think so, yeah, because the funds came
I
from.
was happy
the-
with yes.
Well, the reason why, because they came out of the bonds,
Okay, I was happy with yes.
the Pelican Reserve. I think they'd have to go there.
Yes.
Yes.
She was happy with it, yes.
How long, yes.
Say it,
My
Carol.
my backup
Yes.
for the
Okay,
yes.
that's what I
The
thought.
answer is yes.
Board policy and procedure, I'm still working on that,
Moving
so
right
that's
along.
sort of gone off to the side, but now that we have a number of tasks taken care of, we'll pick that back up. And then the usual signing off on various items. So if any questions, and we have, like I said, 2 items to address on B and C of 13.
The next sheet should be much briefer.
Yes. On 13B, Devon Chamberlain, that's the lawsuit involving the alleged trip on the soccer complex. And the law firm there's a new law firm representing the plaintiff, Devon Chamberlain, who pulled in Mainscape and JMS or JRS?
ASM.
JSM as defendants also. And in that case, typically the courts will set what they call case management orders. And as part of that, they'll have a time frame and a schedule for mediation and arbitration, discovery deadlines, et cetera. And so the parties have scheduled the mediation for, let's see here, the date is November 12th. And what we'd like to have the board do is have, I'm sorry?
I was talking to Flavia.
Oh, okay. Is have the board delegate Chelsea, myself, and the chair, Flavia, to attend on behalf of the board, the district at the mediation session. And then we're also asking, as counsel, communicate this with Jeffrey Hercombe, who's the insurance carrier's retained defense counsel. I've worked with Jeffrey before, and we found out that he grew up in Gateway, in a call we had the other day. And he's an excellent attorney. And as part of the code, we'd like to have a closed door session as we need advice and guidance with regards to the litigation, settlement negotiation or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. And we're thinking October 16th or November 6th, because mediation is November 12th. We'd like to have the closed door session before then. So if we just 2 things, one is have the board approve Chelsea, myself, and Madam Chair Flavia attending the mediation on behalf of the board on November 12th, and also setting a closed door session for either October 16th or for November 6th. With a time
Honey,
to
do
be
you just
determined.
want to say doing mediation in the event that the date changes?
Because I thought I
You
saw,
just, in what you just suggested, you said mediation on that specific date?
Oh, okay, any
just-
other date,
Or, thank
yeah,
you.
if mediation changes.
Okay. Because it has.
Is our insurance carrier involved?
Yes, that's who, the law firm that's representing the district was retained by the district's insurance carrier.
Yes.
And he is a
that
very,
was before with other issue we had.
and he's very good, he's a very good attorney, dealt with that law firm before, and other districts have represented, we work well together. Chelsea and he have developed a rapport, which is great also on discovery.
So we need a motion for
Yeah,
the
motion
designation.
to designate, I'll call it the mediation team, Chelsea, myself, and Flavia.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And also have the board authorized, and I will get with Jeffrey Hercombe, coordinate advertising to hold a closed door session either October 16th or November 6th at,
My
at 5 o'clock.
16th,
Or- I'm sorry?
preferred to be on
Why
October
don't we
16th.
get that, what, moving it back to November doesn't give us much time to play.
Yeah, I'd
Let's-
rather do the
Let's do it the
16th.
16th, get it over with.
A lot of it depends upon Mr. Hercom's availability. We didn't have an answer back from him yet. That's why I wanted flexibility. I think he'll make it. Chelsea's pouting.
Who's JSM Services? Which vendor is that?
JSM, they're the soccer fields.
It's a new one. But what time would the board want to have it? Before the regular board meeting, like at 2 o'clock?
We don't have it 2 o'clock, so we could do it before the meeting.
Okay, well.
Was it going to take half an hour?
With the time to be determined by us. How's that? If that's okay
Fine.
with the board. So I'd like to have the board move and approve that.
So moved.
Close our
Have a
session
motion?
October 16th.
I move.
We have a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So
If
2
you can't
o'clock on
work
the
on-
16th, we'll go ahead and have a closed door session.
Yes. The next item is consideration of settlement of claim against Chase Bradford in your agenda packet, and you also now have signed original by Mr. Bradford, a settlement agreement where he would pay the district $15,000 in cleared funds this coming Monday, the 6th, and then each party would release each other from any and all claims. And it's recommended for
So
approval
this is a final release.
and settlement agreement.
Everything's done.
This will be, once we get the money. Again, the releases are contingent
Subject to.
upon cleared funds on October 6th.
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Okay.
Second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Just one or two more items. One is Laura and I have been working with Sonia Rowley from Infomark on the conveyances or transfers out of real property or personal property in fiscal year 24, 25. So appreciate Laura digging through her files for that too.
And just so you know, one of my goals for fiscal 26 is to get all of our assets into Business Central. So we'll have that, our physical assets, we'll have the control of the list. So,
There's no end to your scrambling. And that's all unless there's other questions from the board.
Ready for
I
adjournment?
just,
Oh,
oh, no, I just have, well, I'll just go for now. So in the Stony Brook, I believe we have a balance, that account still has a balance, 04, right? It still has a balance. Did
How
they
much is
have
in there,
not-
Chelsea?
Yeah, I don't know the exactly dollar amount, but some of the residents did reach out, I think in the board. It will be available as a credit for next,
we're not, no.
are you going to utilize all the money now?
You guys approved earlier in the agenda under consent that the remaining balance will be utilized to pay Katie Berkey's invoices that are applicable to the road
But-
or reimburse the HOA for said expenses, and that will zero out that fund.
That's my question.
And part of my fees also.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure it's zero out.
It will be zeroed out.
Okay.
So no credits,
So no
nothing.
credit needed because it's zero out. I wasn't sure because I thought they were still going to have a positive balance.
The idea was to zero it out.
I tried.
No carryover.
That's correct. That's the
No
whole
carryover,
idea is to
okay.
zero it out.
All right.
And Katie and Alan Levine were kind enough to send me their redacted bills. I
All right.
reviewed them and made my comments to Chelsea and Laura as to what I thought
I'll
were
update the
appropriate.
September redacted one to include the
The latest
recording
bills.
fees.
Yes,
So
Okay, no problem.
because those were not
That's the only
inexpensive.
question I had for you. I just thought it was a little bit money left over for them.
And
But no.
and again, I think ended up 9:30, wrapped it up nice and clean. They own the gatehouse, the roads. District has its easements, so we're good.
I'll call you Margaret, let me in.
Anything else?
Now you won't get in.
They're like, who?
Well, they did that last time.
Right?
Anything else for
We
Tony?
don't know you.
No, nothing else for Tony for me, no? All right.
Your picture's in the gatehouse, like, do not resident,
No, I
Not a
think you said do not
resident.
let her in.
not a resident.
You want one of my new photos too?
And she's not a vendor.
All right, so let's move on to future business.
Anything? I just want to call out that we do have a President's Council meeting at the end of this month. So,
if enough people
28 or something.
RSVP.
so,
I've already responded, I will not be here.
is there,
Actually, out of the country.
again, look at you. So I did plug in some topics, but if you have any suggestions, we're all ears.
Well, are we going to have any attendees?
I hope so. It'll be here in this boardroom.
We have to have at least 10 people RSVP or we'll cancel. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else for future?
We talked at one time about having a workshop on aeration. The
Yes.
ponds over here, and I haven't seen that yet, but
That was scheduled for, it's on here somewhere.
What is it?
The aeration discussion workshop is scheduled for the first of the year, 1/15.
So let's,
And Laura's going to have that report to us
Yes.
perfect, let's,
about the amount of time
Yeah.
everybody spends on what,
on everything.
on everything.
All the time, on everything.
Not quite to that detail, but I can tell you how many hours were spent in Pelican versus Stony Brook versus utilities versus general fund versus what we had budgeted for, yes.
So let's move to supervisor comments. I'll start with Bob.
I have none.
Doug?
I know it was, I think a couple months ago where we lowered the weirs. Where are we at right now as far as,
Control.
Off and on, off and on, off and on.
so we're back up to, where are we keeping
were
it?
at control, then we drop them down to about a foot below, and then they come right back up, and then we drop them back down. They've been
Yeah, but-
going back and forth for the last 2 months.
So we have a structure or a schedule and we're managing.
It's not necessarily a schedule, it's, keeping an eye on the Atlantic and, if, right now the ponds are full, but we're at the point where we've passed peak of hurricane season, knock on wood. So we want to try to keep as much water in the system during dry season, but if something starts to brew, we do open them halfway. Scared everybody.
So far, so good.
Knock on wood.
Okay. So far, so good.
Nothing else, Doug?
I think we covered everything. I'm good.
Yeah, we all got a letter from the people at Silver Lake about fence damage and wild hog destruction. Who put that fence in?
We did apparently back in the day.
What, I
It-
question that.
From
because
my understanding.
Like what
We don't
I,
have any place else that I know of where we have a fence that separates a wetland and houses.
I understand.
Are we sure it wasn't the developer?
I'm sure. So that was one of the things that so when Elle was here, she told me about it. After Ian, we had damages to that fence. So I went back and it is on our property schedule. It's been on our property schedule.
This is the fence that's on the west side of Stony Brook that looks, or I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry,
the west
so-
side of Silver Lake
Yes.
that tees in up at Hampton Park
So
and looks due
It's-
west,
I'm not good with directions like that.
that direction.
That one, that conservation area
It's
right
that,
here.
it's
Yes.
an
So-
old chain link fence.
My understanding is that it was originally put in, and this is what I'm told, I'm only going by what I was told because I was not here, is that it was put in to stop the property owners from encroaching into the wetlands because we were having issues with playground play sets going into the wetlands, being put into the wetlands, and then South Florida comes around and wrote us up. So I'm just basing that off of the information I was given. So it is out there. We're working on resolving that. We're going to get some stakes and stake it in the ground. But I mean, they've got fruit trees in their backyard. So hogs are, I'd be going to the fruit tree too.
So we're making repair on the fence.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I was surprised that was our fence too, because I, when they contacted me, I told them, I said, this is not a the fencing is, signage is a requirement, but for the development order and permit criteria, but not a fencing that I'm aware of it.
I don't know when it
And,
was
but
put
I
in.
do recall, I was surprised that we went out there and put that fence, because it's
It goes way back.
Yeah.
I was surprised, but it's like I said, it's been on our property insurance list forever. We've done repairs to it. So, I mean, we can always take it out if the board so chose. So.
Carol? What is with all the
yes.
It's scary. Go ahead, Carol.
Yesterday in Pelican, there was a garbage truck that part of their load caught fire. The garbage truck, so that the truck didn't catch on fire, dumped the
Dumped.
load, called the fire department. They came out, put the fire out, etc. But it caused the issue of the back gate opening to be resurfaced again. And
For the sixth time.
for, I don't know how many times. And I mean, I understand what happened. I understand the whole thing. It's just that particularly senior citizens don't want to feel like they're caged or have no way out, or this is impeding their freedom. And some people have become very emotional about the fact. And so I was wondering in the next couple months if we could address again the fact of the back gate opening and who can do it and when it can be done and under what circumstances. I understand there were some people that for 35 minutes to an hour couldn't move. They were just, the traffic was just lined up and backed up, and they felt like they could not get out because of where this fire was. It was on a street that was very close to a main intersection of Pelican Preserve Boulevard and Cypress Grove. So blocking particularly people from the, what I would call newer Pelican or the area.
Soy on Prado.
Yes.
Everything past
from-
Cypress Grove.
From being able to get out.
Cypress Grove to Prado.
Because
this one is-
Cypress
this-
Grove was being basically shut down.
So this wouldn't constitute of them opening the gate as an
We did.
emergency?
We
Well,
got,
no, they did.
we-
Okay, so I was gonna say, I
So-
would,
But
I would say that
It
that would
took
be. an
some
emergency.
time to,
Are you saying you
Get
want it
somebody
open forever?
We need to, no, we need to streamline the time response to opening the gate.
It was very, very good.
Or was it good?
It was very, very
Okay, so
good.
then-
The problem, on the other side of that problem, Carol, because my ear has been bent off too, is first of all, if we would ever consider opening it, and I don't think we will, but if it was, now we got to man it. There's a cost element to it. If we did it, the road's not big enough. The existing construction emergency road would have to become wider. You'd have to have turnaround privileges. If you got through all those hurdles, then you'd have to fight with the lawsuits from Prado. Those people do not want it. The people whose homes abut that road.
So I guess it's a Pelican issue for now.
It
and
is.
What do they want to do? But
And
you're
it
telling me
needs-
that was
it's
a
good that
good-
we
you're-
talk about it, but I
You're
mean,
telling
it-
me that was a good response time
great
on us
response.
opening? Okay, so that makes me happy.
I can just chime in, and just add a couple
however,
things.
there were people in line there
Well,
who could not move and
that's their own reluctance.
So is
If they wanted
is that
out,
a
they could get out.
Communication issue, like,
I hear you.
could we have
how
done
could-
better?
Well, okay.
Down the other road.
If I can chime
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So the sheriff, the police did block both lanes of traffic. So we actually, fortunate that your residents are educated enough to call the district. They called us before the HOA even called us. So they said, can you go open the back gate? We looked at our vehicle tracking. We said, hey, we've got 2 people in New Pelican. Go get eyes on where this is at. Do that. Can they go down the other side of the road? Exactly what you were saying. Said no. In the meantime, our staff, however long it takes to get from here to Pelican, they opened it up. And so, and then we communicated to the police to start to direct to the back gate. Once they got the all clear and cleared up the road, then we closed the gate and put it back in.
One person that was great, but was in a golf cart. I said, get down the sidewalk. Sidewalks are open.
What is the,
Come on.
what is the after hours policy? Would there be someone on
On-call
call?
person.
On call?
It goes
And-
to the on-call person.
And the on-call person is, it depends.
It changes every week.
So someone could be in Gateway, outside of Gateway, 15, 20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
It's a variable.
And I just want to, I understand that Pelican invested a lot of money for this, but there was only one way in and out prior to this being put in. So as of right now, and I did pass the information on to Peggy, and they do have it on their agenda for next week. If they do want us to proceed and ask the city and the county what available opportunities there are to do, open this up or whatever it may be, we'll take.
The biggest thing they want is a resident to have a key.
Well, that was my point.
That's a different issue,
I
but
wanted
that's the
to- I wanted to
biggest.
bounce back to that is it something we need to talk about? Maybe one of us or someone that lives in the community having access, a key to.
When we went to get the permit for the road, they were
Requirements not-
adamant that it was
not-
emergency vehicles and district staff only.
Well, we are district staff.
Well, I want to be
Well,
clear. Hold on.
Yeah, we
Hold
are.
on.
We're a district staff.
Hold on. Fire and EMS can have access.
They can- yeah.
They have access to it all the time, so they can disengage
We're
it.
talking about if there is an issue that, like that. EMS, they're busy putting out whatever. If we need an alternative action, which is to open that back gate for whatever reason, and the response time either from the county or our on-call person might exceed our ability for a board member to literally drive 2 minutes to
You're the
unlock,
closest.
to unlock the gate. I'm just saying that if that's a possibility as a redundancy, it's something we should maybe
On a
think
behalf,
about.
I guess what Greg is saying is, we as a board will be
Can we
operating
declare?
on behalf of
If there's
the
not a
staff,
staff
because-
member
yeah,
that
on
lives
behalf-
in
yeah.
Gateway, the next alternative is a board member.
Yeah.
We
I
all
think
live
the
in
issue
Gateway.
is who can declare an emergency?
The way the agreement, I think basically it's up to the district to make that determination as being.
There'll be a fee for that, just so you know.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at the development order and/or the.
They were very specific on this, that it had to be an emergency.
By the district, the bona fide. But one other aspect that Bob brought up about Prado, if I recall correctly, I can go back and look at the documents, but I think the city was, what was critical to the city, one critical component was everybody walked together on this one. WCR, US Home, the district, PPCA, and the Prado people.
Nobody wanted it open.
And there was, well, and so the conditions, I think, were part, I had to go back and look at the agreements. I think that was the understanding, where these were the conditions on which this will take place. And where, but I think that could be, it's an important consideration also.
Yeah, you never get permission from that HOA.
See, and there's all kinds of, we can play out every scenario. I mean, in that circumstance, if Pelican residents were, we gave you guys keys to the kingdom, you both live in Old Pelican. Would you have been able to access and go open the gate? No, you would have had to gone around, which we go, again, there are so many different scenarios. As of right now, we have a policy in place. We have an on-call person 365, 7 days a week. They have my personal number. If they need, they have her personal number. Yannabelle has all of our numbers. So I think the response time that we had was fantastic.
So did I.
We made sure Yannabelle has our contact information in the future.
We have staff who live in Gateway, so.
Yeah.
Was it a fact that the police were not directing them to the back then?
So that's what I was gonna ask.
People were,
Could they benefit from signs, like this is a perfect opportunity for them to benefit from Code Red, specifically messaging the residents saying, hey, before you leave
It
the
would
house.
be-
would
We
they-
didn't do that, did we?
We
I didn't
yeah,
see
so
it.
I think this is an opportunity for Pelican to really put the communication out there to, hey, because the district can just target Pelican and send out that communication and say that, in lieu of front, go to the back. So I think that we could do better.
because from what I heard was that a couple of the police officers had no idea there was a back gate. And when people asked them, because they would say, well, go out the back gate. Where's the back gate? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know how to get there.
And part of that was,
What you wish for.
we had a staff person at that back gate to direct. So I think it's like this whole process, from our perspective, we need to definitely discuss from an internal side of things, because a lot of people don't know where the back gate is. But I can tell you from my firsthand experience of witnessing and being a responder to a crash this last weekend, traffic is the last thing that they care about, the absolute last thing. So they don't care if you're sitting there 5 minutes, 25 minutes, they're going to address the emergency at hand. So, because I had that same frustration this past weekend. So we can discuss it and continue to work through internal processes. But if PPAC and the board wants us to try to pursue through the government agencies to amend DOs or whatever it may be,
Have that come from Pelican before we
Exactly.
do anything, like, I don't want to.
PPAC.
Let them
Absolutely.
decide, I don't want to touch
Absolutely.
that. If that's what they want, we'll support it,
Refer it to
whichever way
PPAC.
they want. Okay, and meanwhile, if we can partner with, just bringing back Code Red for communication purposes, back engage in that conversation.
Yeah, that was a
I know-
missed opportunity.
I know we did have some
For sure.
pushback prior to us sending out communication, and I don't remember if it was Faye at that time that they weren't passing out that communication because,
Well, that's not a Code Red issue.
but I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
want to make sure.
We're
that we
resolved, most of
explain-
them, that Carol's gotten in that.
Yeah,
I think
good.
that part of it's now
Okay,
resolved.
I just want to make sure that they
The
don't. think
Zimmerman
that-
communications.
Yeah.
We're getting better. We're getting better.
Any other comments, supervisor comments?
Not from me.
No? Okay. If you like.
Come identify yourself, Joe.
I didn't want to make the grandstand. Joe Schofield, Karina. We do have a safety and security committee, and we have the front gate guard with a car. And I'm not quite sure why he couldn't have gotten involved with that and told the police there's a back entrance. He certainly knows where it is, And that, why I say he, that person knows where it is, and that person could have had them directing people how to get out once that gate was opened up. So I think there's a lot of resources that just, there was no organization. I don't think anybody planned for it. But I do know that some people parked their cars and walked home and left their cars in the street, which is not good news either. So it was total disarray, I believe.
Okay, so this is a good time for opportunity for Pelican Presidio to regroup and think of
It
this
is.
has
It
happened. So
absolutely
communication
is.
with the guards, communication with, the staff, and I think, as Bob mentioned, the communication within, when we were made aware, the gate was open promptly, but still internally, there was some discussions
You know,
that you guys
maybe,
can have.
maybe
to think
someone
about it.
should suggest that to the Pelican
One of the
Preserve.
suggestions earlier, Joe, is typically the guards leave when we have a true emergency, like a hurricane. So they're not relied upon. They run too.
Well,
It was just a thought
that's one
consideration. Well,
circumstance, and you know,
Let
we
them decide.
we can always find a negative, but the positive is they were there. And maybe this group could talk with the advisory committee for Pelican and suggest they reevaluate how they've got things written up.
Is this a
Just
key
a
or a
suggestion.
It's not, it's
Neither.
neither.
It's a like a
Clicker.
garage door
Clicker.
opener.
And
Yeah.
then we have to manually
All right,
undo the gate.
so nothing else? All right, so
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Adjourn, all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
See you all.
Flavia Antonio, Flavia Antonio.